Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My next guest has an organic, fair trade coffee company. I'll try to pronounce this correctly. Picacho. Michael Riendeau. Michael Riendeau. I was even somewhat close.
That's all right.
Michael, thank you for coming to Here's to Your Health today. Now, coffee is very popular. I think it's the world's most popular modest stimulant. And organic coffees are certainly very popular now and desirable, and yours are fair trade as well. So could you tell the audience why I should drink coffee?
Well, first of all, coffee is a great way to start your day. I think it makes a lot of people happy, you know. As far as the organic and fair trade aspects of coffee go, it's really only one portion of the available coffees. As a roaster, our main objective is to get people freshly roasted coffee. So we start off, we really only roast to order. We don't, pre-roast anything.
Oh.
And we, if we were to only focus on just organic and fair trade coffees, we'd be missing out on a whole, other aspect of the industry, which is single estate coffees. The fair trade actually only applies to cooperatively grown coffees, which are great. They make sense in some parts of the world, but then there are other parts of the world where single estate coffees have some great things to offer. And those farmers that are single estate farmers also usually get really high wages for their crops and their yields also.
Now, on organic coffee, in general, organically grown fruits and vegetables, according to the European Union, have more food value, and I think they have a better taste. And I've always felt that organic coffee has a much better taste than conventional coffee. That's just my experience.
Sure. Well, there are a lot of farmers around the world that simply cannot afford the U.S. organic certification. And what is the reality is most of them are growing coffees naturally, simply because that's the way that they've always done it. They can't afford the certification, and they can't afford the herbicides and the pesticides, which works out great for consumers. You're still getting great coffees, whether or not they're organic or not. And it's our job as a roaster, really, to make sure that we're bringing, the best coffees to market. So that's what we do.
And where is your roasting plant, if that's the correct term?
Our roastery is located in Las Cruces, New Mexico. It is at the foot of Picacho Peak, hence the name. That's, we decided to name the company after Picacho Peak. And we've got a great roastery. It's all solar powered. We're in the Southwest. It kind of makes sense. A lot of sunlight, a lot of day hours. So we've got it hooked up to our solar electric grid and converter. Any excess energy that we produce gets fed back to the local utility. And, we just kind of try to play our part. We're a green company. We try to be environmentally friendly in as many ways as we can.
And when did Picacho coffee begin?
It began in 2009. It was built from the ground up by our owner and roaster, Chad Morris. He's a great guy. He's a school teacher and a jazz musician. And he had been roasting as a hobby, had his own home roasting setup for about a decade before he started the business in 2009. And it's a funny kind of story because his brother-in-law, Tony, came into town one day with a rewired popcorn popper and said, "Hey, I'm roasting coffee with this thing." And they were testing it out, and because they were using specialty grade coffee and because it was freshly roasted, it ended up being pretty much the best coffee that either one of them had ever tasted. So they sort of, got things figured out, at home on their countertop for years and years before saying, "Hey, let's jump into this and start, opening this company."
And again, so besides the fact that coffee tastes good, millions of Americans drink coffee in the morning.
Yes.
Is there any nutritional benefit for them?
You're getting. I mean, it depends on where the coffees are coming from. I mean, you're definitely getting the caffeine that's in there, but you can get some mineral content. The oils themselves have different components and enzymes to them. There's a lot of there's a lot of information to suggest that coffees do have a lot of different benefits.
I've read that. I
for
think
you.
that coffee has some niacin for sure as well.
I think so.
Niacin.
Yeah. There's a lot of cosmetics I know that are coming out now that are based on green coffee, the unroasted coffee, I think some of that does carry through the roasting process.
And someone would drink your coffee because it just has a great flavor. Is that I mean, obviously there's a lot of coffee you can buy. You can go to the local grocery store and buy coffee. Why would someone buy your coffee?
You would choose our coffee primarily because it is fresh roasted. It's 100% Arabica. It is exclusively specialty grade, which is the highest grade coffee that you can get. And we do our best to provide, environmentally friendly businesses and, maintain sustainable agricultural practices with the farmers that we do business with.
And Arabica is a type of bean?
Arabica is one of the two main types of beans, yes. The other one is Robusta. And Robusta is a certainly lower quality bean than Arabica.
I see.
The Arabica beans are going to have much more complexity and flavor. They naturally have a little bit higher of a caffeine content, but around the world, when you're looking for good coffee, you're pretty much always looking for Arabica coffee.
Now you have in front of the camera, I think we have 5 packages, and are they different blends of different beans in different parts of the world?
We have one blend that is on the table there, which is our espresso blend. We call it our espresso spatafora. It is a Southern Italian-style roast, and it's named after our family's ancestral home, which is Spatafora, Italy. It's located in the south. So we do artisanal blends. We do everything by hand, handcrafted. Our roasting machines do not have automated controls or computerized controls. So literally every time Chad gets on the machine, he's doing everything by hand. So that expertise and that sort of handcrafted quality carries over to our blends or to our single origin coffees, single estate coffees, which are unblended coffees from one part of the world.
And in general, you would say that your coffees really just have a dramatically better taste. People try them and think, this is better than the main brands I've been drinking for 25 years. Is that it?
Every single person that tries our coffee is blown away by it. It's just a great response when I'm in Los Angeles. I've been doing some tastings around the city. Whether it's that or brewing coffee at home for family or friends. It's just a total knockout. My girlfriend, before she drank our coffee, had never chosen to drink black coffee in her life, and since we started brewing this in our kitchen, it's really changed the whole thing. So we drink black coffee now and we love it.
So now you have a very peppy girlfriend. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
That's good. And pronounce once again the name of your coffee.
Picacho.
And where do I buy Picacho coffee?
You can buy it on our website, which is picachocoffee.com. And for your listeners, we're offering through the month of November a 15% discount code. When you check out, you can apply coupon code LA Talk Live, all one word, all lowercase. And if you're in the Southwest, you can find it in some of the best cafes and restaurants throughout New Mexico and Texas.
All righty. So no, you are selling to various cafes and restaurants, and they feature your blend because it has a great taste.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, what is this lovely-looking modern device you have on camera here?
Well, we've got a few things over here.
Yeah.
This main machine that we've got is a Rancilio Rocky grinder, and this is a household grinder. You could also use it in small cafes. Although if you were doing large volumes of coffee on a daily basis, you'd want something that could, handle a larger volume. But this is a really great choice for anyone who is looking to up the quality of their coffee at home.
So this is really, in your opinion, really a home machine. And how much coffee will this grind for me? How many cups of coffee can I make?
Oh, I mean, it'll last forever, really. That whole chamber up top is called the hopper, and you can choose to fill that up with one coffee and grind it as you go. If you have several different coffees that you are preparing, then you can measure out in grams how much coffee that you want, and grind them one sample at a time.
So you sell in your packages. These are coffee beans, which I, as a connoisseur of coffee, I'm expected to grind myself and make a fresh cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what percentage of the market actually does that?
Grinds their own coffee at home? I'm not sure. I mean, there's Trader Joe's. There's a lot of places that have
Trader Joe's, right?
Have machines there for you to grind your coffee before you leave the market. I'd say most people at home are using what's called a blade grinder, which is more common. You might see it's just sort of a little blade that whirs and spins around. The bad thing about these grinders is they don't give you sort of precision over the size of your particulate when the coffee is ground. That's really why if you wanted to make better coffee consistently, you would step up to something like this, which is commonly called a burr grinder.
This is a burr grinder.
This is a burr grinder. Yeah, it has a couple of plates that grind the coffee down into evenly sized particulate. And what that does is when you go to brew your coffee, it's all about sort of measuring the right amount of grams of coffee to water. It's about having even-sized particulate, having regulated water temperature, and equal infusion of the grounds. So if you focus on all that, then you're going to brew a really consistently good cup of coffee.
And all those things are actually important factors.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're a cafe and you really want to give your customers a consistent quality cup of coffee, then those are the types of factors that you're interested in. So.
And when someone goes out and buys coffee in a can from the grocery store, and they make coffee at home, because it's been ground, I don't know, possibly weeks or months before, even if it's kept refrigerated, it just really loses a lot of its sparkle. Is that it?
That's true, yeah. Generally, you want to grind your coffee right before you brew it. And the problem with a lot of store-bought coffees on the shelf is there's really no way to determine how long it's been sitting on the shelf. That's why, to us, it's so important to only roast coffee when someone orders it. Like I said, we don't pre-roast anything and have it set on the shelf and then, send it out when someone wants it. So
if someone places, let's say, one of the cafes in New Mexico orders coffee, and how much coffee do they order? Do they order like 50 pounds of coffee?
Yeah. I mean, we got places that will chunk through 100 pounds of espresso a week, even. I mean, they're pulling a lot of shots of espresso.
Excuse me. So you don't send them the beans. You send them the ground espresso. Is that right?
No, we send them the beans.
Okay.
They do the grinding themselves. Right. Yeah. And you mentioned refrigeration too. Refrigeration is not a good thing for coffee. It can lead to moisture damage. You don't want to put it in the freezer. You can contaminate it with other flavors of whatever is in your fridge.
Really?
Yep. The general rule of thumb is that you want to keep your coffee in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight.
So New Mexico kind of fits the bill there. Is that it?
I guess so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You kind of just got to tuck it in a shadowy spot somewhere.
And how large is your facility there in New Mexico?
It's not that large. It's relatively small. We've got a small, sort of hermetically sealed, organically certified, roasting unit. It's about the size of your studio here.
Oh.
So inside we've got a 5-kilo roaster and a 12-kilo roaster. As I said, both of those machines are handmade by a company in Oklahoma City, and it's a great little company. They're at that size. We're doing handcrafted small batches. So.
And let's say a person goes to one of the cafes in New Mexico, likes the coffee, and then they contact you and buy the coffee. So they can buy one of each type just to see what they like really best at home. Is that it?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. So any of the bags that we have here today, we have on the website, along with a full listing of coffees from all over. So we offer what these are is 12-ounce bags. Mm-hmm. It's the smallest size. We also offer a 1-kilo bag, which is a really good deal. It's 2.2 pounds for a kilo, and depending on the coffee, it's anywhere from maybe $25 to $30. But it's a nice deal. It works out well for us. It's easier to roast a kilo than it is to roast 12 ounces.
I'll bet it's much easier. Oh no,
yeah.
For sure. Because after all, the cost of your personnel. I mean, like, hey, that's has to be an issue in a business. And so, how much if I buy a kilo of the best of it? What do you think is that? What's your best selling blend?
The best-selling blend is definitely the espresso blend. Besides that, our best-selling single origin coffee or single estate coffee would be our Guatemala. People seem to really love the taste of the Guatemala coffee. It's got a great sort of tobacco-y accent to it. It's really nicely grounded, has a decent amount of body. It has a lemony snap to it, but not overpowering. And another coffee that we have here today is probably one of my personal favorites is our Chiapas. It's grown in Chiapas, Mexico. This is also a single estate coffee.
Now, again, a single estate means it's grown on one plantation.
Right. It means when we trace the coffee back to origin, we are able to trace it back to country, region, and individual farmer. So this particular coffee, it's grown by two brothers, Delmar and Fernando Guillen in Chiapas, Mexico. It's grown naturally without herbicides or pesticides. Does not have organic certification, but it is one heck of a coffee.
Uh-huh.
So,
by the way, have you visited any of these plantations in Guatemala or Mexico?
we work closely with our importer, who travels to Origin several times a year, and he works on hand with these farmers or with the cooperatives and helps establish their operations.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and once again, give me directions so I can order some of these by mail.
Okay. You go to www.picachocoffee.com. That's Picacho coffee.com. Click on the coffee button and take a look at what we have to offer and see what you like and, throw it in the cart.
All right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And by the way, what is one of these home roasters that are very lovely looking? What do they cost?
This is a home grinder.
Home grinder.
Mm-hmm. This one is probably around $400.
Okay. And this is a lovely coffee pot?
Yes, this is a Buono electric kettle. These things are great. As you can see, it has this fluted spout on it, which is really important because when you're doing handmade cups of pour-over coffee, it allows the water to come out of the pot at a consistent flow rate. So again, it's all about that consistency when you're brewing coffee.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure. I'm sure it's an art to grinding, to growing, obviously. Actually, I've luckily had the chance to visit Guatemala years ago, and they have great volcanic soil. It's really quite a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I'm not sure about our Guatemala, but there was, our coffee offerings change year to year. We offer fresh crop coffees, because they're cultivated and harvested at different times in different countries around the world. So seasonally, our menu has to change. But it's our job to make sure that it always changes in the best way. We did have one coffee at one point from El Salvador that was grown on organic volcanic soil, and it was amazing. It was really good coffee.
Yeah, it's all based on the quality of the soil. That's why, from my perspective, the organic aspect, the organic certification, is something that I seek out when I buy fruits and vegetables, because I'm really in favor of it. And I think on a very selfish level, I get a better tasting fruit or vegetable. So organic coffee, I think, plays in the same way. I've had some friends who are somewhat conservative, and I was touting the organic coffee once. This was actually years ago. And they thought, oh, okay, whatever. They were actually in the food business. The family was in the food business. And I made them the organic coffee, and they admitted right away it was way better. And these guys were in the food business, and they thought organic, this was like, in the 80s, was a little bit of a joke. And they decided, okay, no, we see this has some merit. So organic is something that I feel that you should be proud of your company, and that I certainly am proud to talk about organic on the show. And on coffee, how much coffee should I drink that's good for me? Is there a problem with drinking too much coffee?
I guess that would depend on who you ask.
That's true.
That's true. I could drink anywhere from a cup to 3 to 4 cups a day, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. Then again, if I'm doing a tasting event, it's kind of hard to not drink. Cup after cup after cup. You're tasting it as you're brewing it. You want to make sure you're getting it right, and your customers are getting the best tasting coffee. So I think that would depend on who you ask. I'm certainly not qualified to give you the medical expertise on that, but
1 or 2 cups a day, you feel people just enjoy that and they enjoy the coffee. And
oh, sure, yeah. I just find when I'm drinking coffee, I always try to keep my water next to me as well. I always make sure I try to have a glass of water along with the coffee, so the caffeine doesn't get the jitters going too hard. But
well, Michael, thanks for being on. Once again, where can I buy your coffee?
Best place to find it is our website, picachocoffee.com, Picacho coffee.com. And again, for your listeners, coupon code LA Talk Live at checkout will give you 50% off through the month of November.
Well, Michael, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. It's been a great being here. Thanks.
You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Attend the Las Vegas Congress of Anti-Aging Medicine, and you'll be amazed about the many presentations in anti-aging, stem cells, regeneration, disease treatments, facial rejuvenation, and anti-aging lifestyle. One key area would be the use of a new deer antler extract that can be replaced instead of human growth hormone, much less expensive. And hundreds of exhibitors with new modalities in facial rejuvenation, hair growth, body shaping, weight management, and anti-aging nutrients. Check it out at worldhealth.net.
The American Heart Association's Heart Walk is coming. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your coworkers. Help yourself and those around you to live longer, healthier lives. Form a team today and walk to help the American Heart Association defeat heart disease and stroke, two of the nation's leading killers. For more information, visit heartwalk.org.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. This edition of Here's to Your Health, we have a mineral water from Mount Shasta, California, Castle Rock Mineral Water. Mount Shasta is a lovely place in California, protected area. Thomas Geither?
That's correct, thank you.
Oh, I got it right, very good. Thomas Geither has this new mineral water company. Water, I'm happy to say, packed in glass, which is by far the best way. And the mineral water tastes very lovely. Thomas, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Appreciate
My pleasure. What prompted you to start this mineral water company?
Well, I have been in the health food business all my life, third generation. And
No kidding.
Yes. My grandfather started already. And
What did your grandfather do?
he made herbal medicine in Germany, different herbs and
No
different
kidding.
herbal extracts. And
Can I ask what company it was?
Salus House.
All right.
Floradix is an iron tonic. It's an
Is that yours?
It's my grandfather started. My father is still
All
doing
righty.
it. Yeah.
Oh, Floradex, fantastic product.
Thank you.
Fantastic product.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. And still very popular.
Still a great product. My dad is 88 and still running the company in Germany.
Oh, really? Good for him. He must eat his own products.
It's absolutely. He walks his talk.
Well, I think sometimes a person can produce a great product and really not do what they could do. And that's okay. But when I think a person knows his subject has merit, the ideas have merit, and follows those ideas, that's the person I'm really drawn to. The guys who do walk the walk.
That's right. And I'm trying to walk the talk, let's say it this way. And the water was one of the subjects which always fascinated me, because the body is 90% plus minus water.
Right.
And we're putting in all this filtered water. And I stumbled upon this research from Dr. Emoto, as a researcher doctor from Japan. And he did an interesting discovery about 13 years ago. He took water, a drop of water, on a microscope and froze it. During the freezing process, he looked at it under the microscope and made beautiful crystals, like snowflakes. And then he discovered, sampling different water from Tokyo and from other cities, that most of the city water loses the ability to make these beautiful crystals.
I see.
And then he saw that beautiful, the pure water makes beautiful crystals. And I thought, gosh, we're paying so much attention. We're buying vitamins and supplements and all that stuff. But the body needs a pure source of water, hopefully alkaline, and ours is naturally alkaline.
Right.
And it needs to distribute all the nutrients for any energy system in the body. Water is required. So we're paying very little attention to it. We basically become a society where we sell plastic bottled water, which is all filtered reverse osmosis. And by the way, reverse osmosis water doesn't make any crystals. So it doesn't have any life to it. So a lot of doctors took up that idea and saw Dr. Emoto's research and said, well, let's see what is to it. It's applied that research to greenhouses and different plants. And they found out that actually sprouts grow 30% larger. The apples grow 30% larger. In greenhouse applications, the tomatoes growth cycle is about 10 days faster.
With mineral water.
It's pure spring water.
I see. Okay.
It's pure spring water.
As opposed to city tap water.
City tap water, that's correct.
Well, on a very pedestrian level, I noticed that I have a garden at home, and I water it all the time because it's fun to water the garden.
Yeah.
But I noticed that when it rains, the next day, the plants seem much peppier. They seem much happier and bigger. And I noticed that every time. And obviously, drinking chlorinated, fluoridated water, I think is probably not a good idea. And that's what I'm feeding my plants, just city water. But when it rains, the plants are way happier.
Yes, that's definitely the pure soft water, straight from Mother Nature, is still the best.
Right.
And so I found about this water at Mount Shasta. I've been going there on vacation for many years. And there's an old spring called Shasta Springs. And I found out that this water was sold in 1889.
Oh, really?
And there was this heavy train from Seattle down to Los Angeles stopped for 20 minutes at that water source. And around the turn of the centuries, for about 30 years, were the heydays, where people from all over the world stopped at that water source. They built a big resort there, and it became one of the biggest water companies in North America.
And what was it called in those days, you know?
Shasta Springs. Shasta Water from Shasta Springs.
Right.
And then the recession came in the 20s, and then they built I-5, and they never recovered. So the whole thing was sold to a spiritual foundation, and it didn't sell any water for the last 60 years, 70 years.
Oh, I see.
And I found out about the source, and the city of Dunsmuir gets from the same source this water. So doing a joint project with the city of Dunsmuir. Actually, money is going back in the city of Dunsmuir. So there's a joint venture with the city of Dunsmuir.
What's the name of the city?
Dunsmuir, California. It's right below Mount Shasta.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tourist town?
It's 1,200 people.
Oh, my goodness.
It's very, they call it an economically depressed areas in California.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very poor area, old railway town. And I agreed to start the business, and they get a good percentage of the water for themselves to build up the community. Okay.
Did you have to redo the plant? Did you have to redo everything? Will you source the water?
Yes, it's an old building which has been sitting empty for over 10 years, 15 years. And we basically cleaned it up, fixed it up. And the water runs right by gravity with about half a mile down from the caves where the water comes from. That's where we're actually bottling it. And the caves are basically the headwaters to the Sacramento River. It's Mossbury Falls is a beautiful waterfall, and it comes out of these underground caves where the water comes right basically out of the rock, like this.
I can see that. I'm not sure if
Is that
people can
good?
see it, but
And that's Mount Shasta, just that you see how it comes out.
all right.
And here will be one of the caves.
Huh.
So several caves, and it comes right this rock. See the highlighted area? This is basically just the rock of these cracks that comes out, and it's about 100 years old before it comes out of this.
Oh, really?
And then we found out on the oxygen isotopes inside the water. We determined that the water comes from about 7,000 foot level.
I see.
So it takes it percolates through, comes as rain and snow, sits as glacier. Mount Shasta is one of the few mountains where actually all the glaciers have doubled in the last 30 years. So it's a global warming, it gets its benefits, it gets more snow. So
At least someone's benefiting. That's good.
somebody is benefited, at least up here, California, the whole valley is definitely benefiting from all the water they're getting from Mount Shasta. And so that water comes out of this underground cavern, and basically as it comes out of these mountains and comes right in, gets piped right into the plant itself. It's about a 20,000 square foot plant, and we put a fully automated bottling plant in with glass bottles. It's 55% recycled glass even in the bottles, and they're made in North America. So we're trying to make it all local, and we're in the process of becoming a B corporation. So we have the employees, all employees own shares in the company. Okay.
Oh, that seems very progressive.
Yeah.
You purposely chose glass because why?
Well, everybody knows if you have a bottle of water in your car for even just an hour, and the sunlight is strong and it heats up, the water tastes like plastic. So
It does.
It's not a secret that plastic leaches. And I think with all the plastic we are consuming every day, there's definitely research already out there that says it's better to reduce that. And I think as water being your most pure substance which the body needs, we should drink two of the big bottles a day would be ideal. So paying perhaps $5-6 for the two bottles, it's like a big coffee latte or something.
That's true.
So it's a very and that is a base for your good health. So I think it's quite important to have a high quality water for your body.
I notice also, I only prefer to drink water in glass. Occasionally I'll drink something in a plastic bottle because I'm somewhere and I buy it. And I always think,
Yeah.
this tastes
Same
kind
as
of
me.
flat and I'm not real thrilled with this. I much prefer water in glass. And I also find that your better waters, the Mount Shasta water, because I drink a lot of herbal tea, that it really just gives the tea a better taste. It's obviously a very simple concept. Better ingredients, better taste.
Right.
So the water is a big part of the herbal tea experience, and the Castle Rock water makes very good herbal tea.
Yes, that was surprising to me when I first tried our water with a chai. It's like a day and night difference. Just for coffee, you had coffee before. It's fantastic for coffee. It changes the taste.
Yeah, I think people would be, if they hear you say that, they might say, "Oh, that's just, I don't think so." But once they try, there's, "Oh my God, that guy was right."
That's right.
Sure.
Exactly.
And I drink a lot of green tea, which I enjoy, and also a dandelion licorice is a great combination I prefer, and this really adds to it. And the water makes a big difference in the quality of the tea. People come over to the house and they're a little surprised. They think, "This really tastes good. Why does this taste so good?" Well, because the tea bags are better quality and the water's better quality, and therefore it just tastes better.
Yeah. We had an interesting experience in Anaheim. We had a health food convention last March, and somebody from China came and they said they had some tea. They said, "That's that tea," and he asked me, "Guess how much that is?" I said, "It's $2,000 a pound."
Oh, was it matcha? What was it?
It was a special tea extract, and then so he took the tea extract and used our water, and he said he had never tasted his tea so good as it from our water.
Good.
Which was interesting.
Good. The Chinese will come out and buy your place.
That's right.
Yeah,
Please.
they're buying everything else. And where can I get your water?
Right now, we're just a young company getting going. We're in Mothers. We're in Rainbow Acres.
Mothers is great. Mothers is
Yeah,
great
yeah.
in Orange County. I think
That's
they have
right.
3 or 4. They have one in Costa Mesa. Very
right.
lovely stores.
Yeah.
Great products there in Mothers.
PC Greens on
PC Greens, very
has
nice.
it too. So we're getting the small store, not in Whole Foods yet. We're trying to get in, but they haven't taken us on yet.
You're in Rainbow Acres on West Washington.
That's right.
That's a very nice store. I know that store very nicely.
Yeah.
It's a great store. And so you want me to drink really about 2 of these bottles a day? You think is just doable?
You would basically feel a difference very fast. Taking 2 bottles a day, you feel 100% better.
Yeah.
doing that.
Actually, the water is just so important. Yeah. People are a little surprised how simple this one is. Now you have sparkling water and you have still water.
That's correct. We have sparkling water, which is not a lot of sparkling to it. It's a sort of medium sparkle to it.
Okay, now I've never tried your sparkling water, so would you say yours tastes more like Perrier than Apollinaris?
No, it's more like Pellegrino.
Or more like Pellegrino? I see.
Right. Yeah, very close to Pellegrino. I think it tastes better, but
Okay.
but Pellegrino is a
probably
good
right.
water. I actually
water.
like it. If I go out and I have no other water, I buy that one.
Well, Thomas, once again, give me the contact information. And by the way, can people take tours of the facility?
Yes, you can come up to Mount Shasta if you're there. You can buy directly from the factory if you're there. CastleRockWater.com is our web address. We're starting with a home delivery here in the LA area too. So you can sign up at our website and get the bottles through the health food stores. So if you have a favorite health food store, ask them to order it. The major distributor in the area, Nature's Best or Unify, they all carry it. So
Those are big players for sure.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. Well, Thomas from Castle Rock, thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Hi, this is Jean Noel Bassior, inviting you to join me for my new show, The Book Beat, Monday evenings at 6:30 p.m. I'll be talking to authors about their latest book so you can find a fantastic read. But more than that, I'll be talking to experts about how you can write your own book and get it published. So tune in on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. And remember, you can catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk Live. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances, we're just live. Chef Momo, Life MC, Diana, and once again your host Shaquem Williams. So come join us every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world-leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock Factor. The Shock Factor. Join us on The Shock Factor.
Attend the Las Vegas Congress of Anti-Aging Medicine, and you'll be amazed about the many presentations in anti-aging, stem cells, regeneration, disease treatments, facial rejuvenation, and anti-aging lifestyle. One key area would be the use of a new deer antler extract that can be replaced instead of human growth hormone, much less expensive. and hundreds of exhibitors with new modalities in facial rejuvenation, hair growth, body shaping, weight management, and anti-aging nutrients. Check it out at worldhealth.net.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. For this segment, Dr. Hans Kugler, PhD out of Stony Brook in chemistry, former research chemist for Standard Oil of Indiana. Last week on the show, we briefly talked about chemtrails. And the response to the discussion was very positive. And in my opinion, Hans Kugler offered the most science and the least amount of invective about that controversial subject. And because the response was so good to the discussion about chemtrails, Hans decided to add further scientific findings to the conversation on today's show. So I'd like to welcome my co-host on Here's to Your Health, Dr. Hans Kugler. Thank you, Hans.
Well, thank you for having me back here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
It certainly is very fascinating what we find out about chemtrails very recently. Over the past few years, people have looked up into the sky, and normally you see a jet airplane, you're all the way up there, and it leaves a white trail behind it. Well, that's a condensed stripe, right? Big deal. Well, in
that's
some...
right. You see, when you see a plane go by, it does leave a trail, right?
Right. I mean, that's normal, right?
Yes.
But suddenly they observed that jet planes were all going in one direction, then back in the other direction, back in the other direction, and then 90 degree in the opposite direction. They're laying out a pattern up there of things that they are spraying into the air. And nobody really knew what this is all about. There were many different people, guessing what it was all about, and so on and so on. And some of them, the more, let's say, science-oriented ones, suggested that was a way of controlling how much sunlight gets to the earth, right? And actually blocking sunlight. Because in the meantime, over the past 25 years, every year, the climate change scientists have told us we are getting closer to a point of no return. We've got to do something about it, and very little has been done about it, and so on and so on. And what can we do? And guess what? The most interesting and confirming statements about chemtrails come from where? Anybody know?
I do not.
Actually, it is Edward Snowden.
Really?
Right. Yeah.
No kidding.
It's the hacker who gained access to every possible secret government goings on and then went public. Right?
Right, Snowden.
And in essence, what he says is, yes, chemtrails has been going for a while. It is used to block sunlight from hitting Earth, and that the chemicals that they are spraying in there are aluminum, barium, strontium. And it is
aluminum,
just,
barium, that seems like a bad idea.
Oh, it is a very bad idea. But see,
my
more
goodness.
important, it's not only that they are doing this. Apparently, the scientists, climate change scientists, have not been asked about that, right? Because I'm quite sure if anybody would ask me about how about spraying this stuff in there, it is just absolutely ridiculous.
And seems to spray strontium around and aluminum seem, I think everyone would think this is a bad idea.
I do. Just aluminum, Alzheimer's, and so on and so on.
That's right.
Anyway, but here's what Snowden says. I am only revealing this program because there is no oversight in the scientific community. no public discussion, and little concern for the side effects, which are well known only to a few privileged people interested in continuing this chemtrail program in secret. Now, why would they want to do this? It brings us back to the same points that we often discussed and asked. And I would like to ask, where has we the people gone? Because in this evaluation, no supervision. The scientists are not being asked. Some inside people are doing something like this. And when you really look at the details, you really come to the conclusion there is something very dirty going on. Why would they do this? I mean, if scientists had come up with a consensus about the degree of warming and maybe making a doomsday announcement to the governments of this world, basically saying we have a runaway reaction if we don't do anything about it right now. We've really got to, we're going to go downhill, right? And in essence, that is what Snowden says. Again, I quote him, "If this program were to stop, the scientists behind it strongly believe that within just 1 year, the North American climate would spiral out of control and crop failures would lead to a series of devastating famines that would quickly depopulate urban centers." Well,
Wow.
it sounds...
Now, Edward Snowden, for my listeners who don't really know the name, is now... has fled to the Soviet Union. Is that not correct?
Right. And he has actually been offered and taken on a position in special observations on the internet and so on and so on. Now, basically what he was doing there, right? And the whole thing was published in the Chronicle.
In the Chronicle, which is a British newspaper.
Well, yeah. And you can go to www.chronicle.su/news/Snowden. And you will find it there. But you can also come to our website, drhanskugler.com, all one word, drhanskugler.com, and you will find a lot of updates there about these specific issues.
And again, so climate scientists are spraying aluminum, barium, and strontium in the air. And what's the rationale for this? What is occurring that they're trying to prevent?
Well, see, that's where the pseudoscience comes in, right?
Pseudoscience.
And it's not really climate scientists that are doing that. As a matter of fact, we have thousands of climate scientists every year that are putting out a summary report telling us how important it is and how dangerous it the way we're going. There's many different areas. In the one area, CO2, right?
CO2, carbon dioxide.
Right. We are producing twice as much carbon dioxide approximately around the world as what trees and oceans can handle. Right. That's the reason why plants are dying. When the CO2 level gets too high, plants are actually shutting down CO2 absorption. So there were some pseudo-phony plants actually planted on the internet arguments, like plants and oceans have always dealt with the CO2, and if there's more CO2, plants will grow faster. No, it doesn't. San Diego University showed that if the CO2 level gets too high, plants actually shut down the absorption. And in addition to this, oceans can only absorb a certain percentage. As a matter of fact, bottom line is it's only 54% of CO2 what can be dealt with by trees and oceans, leaving us in the U.S. alone with 15 billion pounds of CO2 per day. It's killing the environment, it's killing everything. So something has to be done about it.
And this carbon dioxide, this excessive amount of carbon dioxide, it's multifactorial, but what are some of the things that are causing excessive carbon dioxide?
Well, it's mostly the use of carbon fuels, right?
Carbon fuels.
We have different ones. Coal is the worst because coal gives 100% CO2, while gasoline and methane and other gases, they give CO2 plus water. But that's not the only part. Coal also gives us lots of toxic chemicals, mercury, cadmium, barium, etc., strontium. And if you add it up, in the U.S., where we use quote-unquote clean coal, they remove some of the minerals, some of the toxic minerals, we're still adding, guess what, 50 tons of mercury into the environment every year. And we are buying cheap products from China. Well, isn't that nice? And we would love to do this and keep doing this. But you know what they're doing in China? They're burning the coal raw. And therefore, from China alone, the environment gets 150 tons of mercury alone, which goes into the environment and into the oceans. And it's come to the point where the oceans are so polluted that even governments suggest that pregnant women limit their intake of fish. I mean, go back to the Bible. What's the best way to feed the people? It's to harvest the oceans,
Yes.
right? Now,
humans have always been fish eaters.
Right.
Yes.
The bottom line, again, is in order to slow down the sunlight absorption onto the earth, they are spraying these chemicals up there, and it is just devastating. And in a summary statement, we could say that the science behind chemtrails should be better classified as Frankenstein's pseudoscience. And I give you the reasons why. Chemtrails used in the chemicals used in chemtrails, aluminum, barium, strontium, and sulfur compounds are all so toxic to plants and humans, you can go to NIH or PubMed, which is the government basically database. And
NIH, National Institute of Health.
Right. And you can do a search. Very simply, you list those chemicals and side effects and negative side effects on human health, and you will find over 3,000 papers alone. Aluminum with Alzheimer's, and so on and so on. I mean, it's just absolutely devastating. In addition to this, organic farmers have reported, and you can see this on the internet too, that these chemicals, when due to little weather patterns and it forms rain and they come down on earth, they literally destroy agricultural crops. They destroy agricultural crops to such a degree that I've seen the pictures of organic farmers. It looks like the plants were eaten away by some acid, right? But it's not only this, it destroys regular crops too, right? Okay, now organic crops are very important for our better health.
Right.
Well, if we destroy organic crops, what's going to happen? It gives Monsanto the excuse to engineer crops that are resistant against those chemicals, right? I mean,
That could happen.
It's total scientific BS. And you know what I mean with BS, right? Okay. Now, in addition to this, the chemicals used in chemtrails, they actually deplete ozone levels up there. Now, the ozone is a very important part in preventing a lot of these chemical reactions, right? Now, special interests like Monsanto and so on would obviously appreciate that, right? Because as we just outlined, right? I mean, they could come, oh, now we can design, engineer, new crops that are resistant against those chemicals, right? It is amazing to what extreme they're going and to keep that secret. That's really an emphasis, right? And now, in my circles, I meet lots of interesting people, including Nobel Prize winners that are on the climate change panels, including some very famous scientists from some of the big universities and so on. And I have tried to find out and get an answer from them if they have been asked to okay chemtrails and what they think about it. Well, obviously, no, this doesn't happen. The bottom line is when you look at it, it is one or two special interests that are either pushing the government to do it in secret or that they are doing it themselves. It is devastating, right? From every possible aspect. Now,
some small special interest group is promoting this, and in general, most branches of the government have no information about it whatsoever. Is that it?
That's right. That's right. I mean, wherever you inquire, either they play dumb or they don't want to tell you. But when you get actually to the climate scientists, you will find out that they are really pretty ticked off about it because they have not been asked about it. And I'm quite sure if this would happen, if they would ask them, they would say a big no-no. Well, why a big no-no? Because these trails that they're laying up there and reducing the sunlight that gets to Earth. Well, what is the absolutely number one measure to counter climate change? Is to produce clean energy, right?
Yes.
With solar panels.
Yes.
Solar, wind, and so on. Well, guess what? If you have less sunlight coming to the ground, it reduces the capacity of all those millions and zillions of solar panels that we have out there. It will reduce the capacity to produce electricity, right? I mean, it's the dumbest ever chain reaction that government or some of these secret people have initiated.
Okay, now, excuse me. So at this juncture, for those of you just tuning in, this is Here's to Your Health, and we're chatting with Hans Kugler, PhD in chemistry out of Stony Brook, talking about chemtrails. Now, everything you've told me, I'd like to repeat just one thing. Why are they spraying the strontium, barium, aluminum in the air? To prevent what kind of reaction? Is it because they're kind of tacitly acknowledging there's too much methane in the environment? Is that it?
Well, that's the second part. I mean, when you actually demonstrate how serious that situation is, you look at, number one, at CO2 levels. CO2, been demonstrated.
CO2, carbon dioxide.
We are producing about twice as much CO2 as nature, trees, and oceans can handle. So we have to reduce the carbon-based fuels, okay? Now, the other part is methane. Methane is totally underestimated. Now, Nobel Prize winner Kirk Smith actually has a number of information sites on the internet showing that the basic approach towards handling this is definitely not correct, because methane had been estimated previously to be about 23 times as severe in causing climate change than CO2. Well, in the meantime, they recalculated it, and it's actually 72 times as harmful as CO2.
But why is there, as far as I can tell, very little discussion about methane?
Well, because either they are ignorant scientists that are participating in it, or they are not really involving real climate change scientists, right? I mean, there are gigatons of methane buried in the ground in permafrost areas, the North and the South Poles, right? Now, methane forms a compound, a chemical compound called a clathrate, which is a combination.
What are they called again?
Clathrate. Mm-hmm. It's water and methane together crystallized, and it sits there, okay? Now, if this warms up, this complex falls apart and it releases methane. If you go to the North or the South Pole, you will find lakes. They are boiling. Well, why are they boiling? Because it releases the methane, right?
Wow.
Now, what happens, for example, if, and it actually did happen, lightning by accident ignites methane that comes out of the ground. Well, a couple of years ago, 400 acres burned. It could have been a chain reaction that literally terminated end of life on this planet as we know it. But thank God this reaction only happened towards the end of the year, when the onset of winter and rain and snow and so on finished that one, right? I mean, there are so many different possibilities in there that it just boggles the mind. And when you look at the bottom line, who would benefit from such pseudoscience?
Okay, answer that question. Who would benefit? Does anyone benefit at all?
Well, look at it would reduce warming. Well, it gives the oil companies and the carbon companies more reason. We can just burn a little bit more of that stuff.
That's true.
I mean, make the solution,
yes,
okay?
I can see that. Mm-hmm.
Now, it destroys agricultural crops. Actually, if you go on the internet, you will find that some of these crops, some of these chemicals, have literally destroyed entire section of forests. They look totally dead after this stuff hits the ground.
After aluminum strontium.
Okay, that would Monsanto give a chance, A, probably to buy up that land cheap, and B, now they have an excuse to design crops, chemical, engineer crops that are
All right,
resistant.
that all sounds like that could be true. That could
Right.
be accurate, yeah.
I mean, it's just totally amazing what's happening.
May I
in
ask
this
you a
stuff.
question? With this Snowden information, obviously it has to be reasonably new information. Has there been any official response?
No, not really. They're all embarrassed. And as a matter of fact, I never really thought that the Snowden, disclosing these things, I wasn't comfortable with it.
Right.
Because this is confidential government program. But when it is government BS, like this, what they're doing, it needs to be exposed. There's no question about it. Now, you want to read a little bit more about it? As I said, come to our website, Dr. Hans Kugler, all one word, DrHansKugler.com, right? Or you can go to Chemical Skyfall, chemicalskyfall.com, and you will see a lot more information about that. And there was also at chemicalskyfall.com/HAARP-chemtrails, you will find a video that will blow you away.
Really?
I have our video giving you all the details and all the information about that.
And again, now, when we began this conversation, I mentioned your PhD in chemistry from Stony Brook. You work for Standard Oil of Indiana. You taught at Roosevelt University in Chicago. So you have a great science background. And this great science background that you have, and you're still active in your field of anti-aging now. So you feel that these ideas that the Snowden papers released are accurate information?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, it really puts A, B, and C together. There's no question about it, right? What really upsets me is that apparently some special interests in cahoots with maybe part of the government are doing that on their own, have decided to spray some of the most toxic chemicals into the air that affect human health. And as I said, go to a PubMed, go to orthodox science basis, and you will find 3,000 publications alone how dangerous those chemicals are. That's number one, okay? And the most important part is that those layers out there reduce sunlight hitting the ground. Well, the biggest step towards reversing climate change is to build and install photovoltaic panels, right? Solar panels. And it reduces the capacity of those solar panels. Right? And I mean, you can go from A to C, and the bottom line is what I started in the beginning. I said, where has we, the people, gone? Because if scientists had really presented data to show that something needs to be done past the point of just what we're doing right now, that we really have to take emergency measures to do so, there would be much more that we could do than this dumb, ignorant, pseudoscientific approach of chemtrails, right? Like, for example, here, give you one example. Rocky Mountain Institute, one of the most conservative and best research institutes.
Rocky Mountain,
right?
Is it Amory Lovin's?
Right, yeah, Lovin's. RMI. You can look it up, rmi.com or Rocky Mountain Institute, right?
Yeah.
They have shown that by merely emphasizing and teaching people conservation, that we could reduce our entire energy exposure, that means heat, by 30%. I mean, within a few weeks. Within a few weeks, right? Like, for example, on the basis of Rocky Mountain Institute data, a few years ago, we decided, my organization, the International Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, we are a state of California, a nonprofit educational health organization, parentheses, give us your money, we don't have any.
Fine.
Right?
Sounds good.
We decided to demonstrate that an individual or a group alone within a short time can be totally carbon neutral. Right?
Really?
And that's what we did. I mean, we put on the house a 3 kilowatt solar panel. That's twice the size what's normally used. and normally it's a 1.5 kilowatt, right? And that will balance mostly what you use in terms of electricity. Now, we put twice as much in there. We wanted you to use not only have enough electricity for the house, et cetera, but we also wanted to buy a plug-in hybrid, an electrical car that we could charge. Because, see, when you do that, you actually use your own electricity that you form with your solar panels to charge your electrical cars, and guess what it would cost you to drive 100 miles?
What?
What amount of money?
Zero?
Well, $2.60.
Seems like a good deal.
$2.60.
Okay. That's a good
Damn
deal.
good deal,
Good
right?
deal, yeah.
Okay. And, you know, following this up on every aspect, we can really show how important it is to use common sense approaches to that.
But common sense, you have to be trained to see
Common
that
sense in government?
Well, no,
I mean,
well,
this is
well,
something
but-
really
but-
new.
But see, one thing about common sense is everything is easy after you know it. So if people, I mean, in 1940, a lot of people thought, oh, cigarette smoking, doctors say it's good, improves my digestion. So now we might laugh at that now, but in the 30s and 40s, that's how they kind of sold tobacco to people. That's, you see the ads in old magazines. So common sense, really, it's all really information. That's the thing about common sense. May I ask you, are any mainstream environmental organizations, Sierra Club, Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, are any of these organizations making comments about chemtrails?
They do make comments, but they sort of hold back because, see,
They're
the
afraid?
science was not really, no, they're not afraid because it's really, there's not really enough, there was really not enough data out there.
Until the Snowden thing?
very recently.
That's what
I mean, scientists had hypothesized that this was in order to block sunlight, right? It's known as something like bioengineering or geoengineering, and you can look it up there. There's a whole bunch of really websites. For example, you can go to one website. It's called geoengineeringwatch.org. Geoengineeringwatch.org, right? And as I said, you can come to our website, drhanskugler.com, and you will find updates about this, right? From many different aspects. And from every aspect you look at this, it just doesn't make any sense at all what they're doing, right? They are not involving the real scientists. They're doing it in secret. It's done by probably pushing of some special interests that are doing this. I mean, it's bottom line, it is, from a science point of view, it is disgusting what they're doing out there.
If I can make a comment, obviously the solution of barium, aluminum that they're strontium that they're spraying, someone has to be providing that to them, and obviously someone's making money with that formulation they're providing. And of course,
totally.
pilots have to be hired to spray.
Right. Well, that was another area, very interesting. See, I fly airplanes, right?
know you
I
do.
mean, this is my big thing, right? I mean,
You
when I-
have military training as a pilot?
oh yeah, in the Air Force, up to jet training and so on and so on.
You flew for NATO.
But yeah, in Germany many years ago. I mean, I was in an air base, half Americans, half Germans. We flew American airplanes, et cetera, and I learned.
Okay, I
that-
just want the people listening to Here's Health to know that you have a military background, so you know what you're talking about when it comes to airplanes.
You're damn right about it.
Okay.
See, if we have an emergency in an airplane, and we are somewhere, and let's say I pick up my microphone and I say to somebody, hey, I have an emergency, and nobody responds. What do? We push a scanner, and the scanner is like a police scanner. It will pick up the frequencies where some people are talking on, like other pilots, right? So the airplanes that are flying out, they're laying out the chemtrails. Some other pilots have flown up there, close to them, and put on that scanner. And they listen into their conversation. And they confirmed all of this, right? There is no question about it. Where has we, the people, gone? That is the most distressing thing there is. Everything is done in secret. Some pseudo blanks think they know everything. They will do things in order to make money on it and to extend our misery here. I mean, it is so clear. For example, Sandy, the big storm on the East Coast.
Yes.
The evaluation showed that the total cost of these storms put together in terms of the money amounts what it cost, put into promoting solar panels and so on, it is so totally cost effective, right? Like in our organization once with the International Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, the drhanskugler.com website, we went to people and we asked them, have you decided to put solar panels on your house yet? And if they didn't, we asked them, how much money as an initiative would you want to really start putting solar panels on your house? The cutoff was something like $5,000.
Right.
Well, now take the cost of one nuclear reactor, about $6 to $8 billion, divide that by 5,000, right? And you can show again what scientists have told us for many years, compared of building a nuclear reactor. By the way, do you know how long it took for the last nuclear reactor to get certified?
I do not.
23 years. 23 years. If you take the same money and you put it in investing in solar panels, within 4 months, you produce 4 times as much electricity as with a damn nuclear reactor. And now with Fukushima, with all these other things, I mean, I don't think I have to say anymore, right? But there's also these scientists again said, well, if we want to reduce on CO2 levels, well, what can we do? How can we create electricity? And somebody said, well, the first thing is always, well, nuclear is the answer. Well, it isn't. There is Dan Nocera. Oh, he was at MIT, a genius. Well, a chemistry professor, what do you expect,
For sure.
right?
No, I got you.
Anyway, he has now gotten a tremendous research grant. He is now at Harvard University. And if you get a chance to go to his lectures, go and listen. Like one of the lectures, he stands up, and he's a little bit nervous. He says, well, you know, during my last lecture, I suggested that I really care about you people out there. Well, let me really tell you what I'd like to do is I'd like to sneak on an Air Force base. I'd like to borrow an F-18. And you know what I do with it? I will bomb the grid. Right, the electrical grid, because it doesn't make absolutely, totally no sense to put up humongous solar panels 100 miles away and then transport the electricity there. I mean, the cost, you lose so much electricity, right? And if you connect a small town, all the houses, with the solar panels on it, and what Nocera proposed and now has demonstrated with research at MIT and Harvard, give me sunlight, convert it with solar panels to electricity. During the day, you use the electricity to run your house and to charge an electrical car. And any excess electricity during the day is used to take water apart into hydrogen and oxygen. You store the hydrogen, and the hydrogen can be either put into a small container in your car and then fed into a converter, right, a fuel cell, and it will produce electricity to run the electric car. And at night, you can do the same thing in your house. You feed it into a electrical, in a fuel cell, and it produces electricity. And what they found is you can even use the dirtiest water from rivers, or let's say you go somewhere in Africa where it's totally bacteria. I mean, you can use that water, and it will still work. It will literally, the process in making electricity, you can literally purify water. Wow. I mean, it's the most ideal thing ever. And so the bottom line is, he says, give me sunlight. And by the way, 1 hour of sunlight hitting the earth supplies us with more electricity and energy than what we would need, this entire planet would use in a whole year, right?
Really?
I mean, so we have excess, right, and everything else. So he says, sunlight, converted with solar panels into electricity. During the day, run your house, run your electrical car. And at night, you can either feed it into a specially fuel cell car, drive it along those lines, or you put it into a converter, and you produce electricity. Now, guess what? The interesting part is, in the high-tech valleys, like here in California,
Yes.
some of the big companies have already started this. It looks like a 3 by 4 by 2 yard big box where they feed the electricity in there. You have an array of solar panels that feeds it in there, and they have the fuel cell and everything in there works. It is already less expensive than coal or anything else.
Well, that sounds actually very positive.
Oh, it is very positive. I mean, really, again, if you come to our website, drhanskugler.com, look it up under nuts to the climate change denialists. I mean, actually, when I give talks, I give a talk all around the world. I mean, I talked in Germany, I talked in Bangkok, I talked in Mexico City and wherever. And when I touch onto the environmental issues, people come with ideas and arguments that are totally unsupported by science.
Right.
And so I asked myself, man, what's happening here? Where did they get this idea from? Well, it now became known, established. Some people actually mention names. There's an energy conglomerate, apparently the Koch conglomerate. They put millions of dollars into seeding BS arguments out there. Why? Well, a lot of people tell us, well, we are very limited in our energy supplies in terms of coal and oils and so on. That's the biggest baloney there is. On a very conservative side, we have enough coal for 2,000 years. We have enough oil for at least 200 to 400 years. With all the different types of recovery of gas, this is another area. Fracking has been termed by one of those geniuses in the climate change field, Nobel Prize winner, defined as worse than coal. Fracking is worse than coal. Oh, yeah. So anyway, on the basis of this, I decided, well, what's going on? I should write a little booklet. Well, a whole book, no. So anyway, I wrote a book. It's about 80 pages long, which will soon be available. And the title is Nuts to the Climate Change Denialists. Science speaks for itself.
Good for you.
You know where the nuts expression comes from, right?
Yes.
Right.
Battle of the Bulge.
That's right. During World War II, when the Allied forces were moving into Germany, there was a counteroffensive with some tanks and panzers, and it broke through, and it could have changed World War II. Because at the same time, Germany was building the Messerschmitt 262, a jet airplane that when the bomber runs were done over Germany, sometimes shot down 16 bombers in one run. The thing was so fast they couldn't catch it, right? So anyway, and so the German commander, the tank commander, there was a town occupied by an American unit, and the German tank commander sent a message to the American commander saying, you see, you're outnumbered, you're out, etc. Why don't you surrender? It would have been the common thing to do. But the only word that the American commander sent to the German tank commander was nuts, right? And I would like to say to Washington, nuts. That's my basic.
People like the Koch brothers who, have spent a lot of money, and I know that they're involved with energy production, and they pump a lot of mercury into the environment, and they don't want to spend any money to prevent that. And they do have a lot of clout. One thing I know about...
If you have money, you have clout.
And they started with, I think their father left them $300 million, and they have now, there's two brothers that have like a couple of billion between them.
More, mega billions.
One of the things about nuclear power that's never been addressed is what you do with spent nuclear fuel. And they never talk about that because obviously it's radioactive and it destroys everything, and they have refused to deal with that for the past 50 years.
Right, well, we've seen it right in Fukushima. They have hundreds of ponds where they are stored that nuclear, the waste, right? And what if another earthquake that breaks some of this stuff? We are already at the point where you can measure radioactivity on the California coast from Fukushima, right? And there are so many other areas that were along those lines. Like, for example, why is fracking worse than coal?
Why?
Because number one, I used to be a research chemist for Standard Oil of Indiana, and I can tell you normal fracking works with finely ground sand and water.
Fracking works with sand and water.
Right. Now they're adding fracking fluids, Well, if you look at the fracking fluids, you come to the conclusion that it's the chemical industry that are disposing of toxic chemicals by giving it a purpose. I mean, are you guys nuts out there? Seid ihr verrückt? Speak German. Anyway, are you crazy? I'm asking those guys. I'm challenging them, right? Get on a public discussion. I would love to shoot you down. Right?
So these people are just using chemicals when all they really need is sand and water under pressure.
Right. And they're putting the most toxic chemicals in there. 100 tons per well goes into the ground in poisoning our groundwater. It will never decompose. It will stay there. Right? I mean, and you can take it from one point to another. I mean, it's just amazing.
And that's just to make money. That's just done to make money.
Right.
Making money.
So, number one, the risk. And there's no single publication. Again, I challenged a lot of those people, right? And nobody says a word. They're quiet, right? And I can go into good discussions, and I have. And I shut them down with little blanks, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, you can go into more details and see why, for example, fracking is bad. It's not only this. There is no scientific information that says adding those fracking fluids gives you such and such an increase in the yield, right? And if you would actually evaluate the toxic chemicals into it in the environment, nothing would be worse than increased yield, right? That alone. Okay, what else? Well, guess what? Out of all the natural gas produced with fracking, about 3.6% goes right into the air. Well, with fracking, with methane, a big part of the natural gas is methane, right? I mean, that's why it's a gas. Methane, ethane, propane, butane, pentane.
What are they? Methane, what else?
Well, they name chemicals, hydrocarbons, by the numbers. Methane is 1 carbon, methane, ethane is 2, methane, ethane, propane is 3, like propane, the gas,
yes.
propane, methane, ethane, propane, butane, pentane, hexane, heptane, nonane, decane, etc., etc. The number of carbons. And the more carbons you have, the more it goes from a gas to a liquid, right? Now, when you do this and look at the science data, you'll find that 3.6% of that methane that's produced, it goes right into the air. And now you go back to a real genius and scientists, and I guess there's a reason why people get Nobel Prizes, right? I mean, Kirk Smith, here in California, on the Environmental Board and so on, has actually demonstrated that that methane is 72 times as harmful, as bad as CO2 in doing that. But there's a third point. What could be a possible third point also against fracking? Well, what could it be? Well, all this machinery that pumps the water and the finely ground sand and the chemicals into the ground, it has to be extremely powerful equipment, right? To build up these thousands of pounds of pressure. Well, guess what it runs on? Regular gasoline, right? And diesel, and it creates CO2.
Oh, I see.
So the bottom line of these toxic chemicals, the methane released and so on, the bottom line is fracking, forget about it. It's worse than coal.
Wow. Hans.
And you can go from one point to another.
For those of you just tuning in to Here's to Your Health, we're speaking with Dr. Hans Kugler, PhD in chemistry. A remarkable conversation, Hans. It's just been remarkable.
Well, it's remarkable information that's out there. See,
and if I can say this, you have said it succinctly and intelligently and scientifically without invective. It's just, here's the science, you are reporting it. And I appreciate that because previous to this, I had gone to a number of sites that friends had told me to view about chemtrails, and I listened to the arguments, and there seemed to be no arguments. It was mostly people chattering.
Opinions.
And I thought, okay, I'm willing to listen, but give me some information, not just, invective. I need some
real
information.
facts, right?
And you are the only person I have heard marshal the facts in a way that actually I find a little frightening.
Well, there's others. If you go to the www.geoengineeringwatch.org, you will find a lot of common sense and good scientific data, right? There's some others. For example, at another website, it's the all one word chemicalskyfall.com/HAARP, right? And you will find there a video regarding chemtrails that again starts from the bottom and gives you good data information,
Let me hear the website again. What's that website?
Chemicalskyfall.com, right? Chemical skyfall is one word. Yeah? And so you got it there. That's the whole thing. It's the same as with aging research. What's happening in this field is very similar to what's happening in medicine today. We have everything run by a few special interests. Drug companies are buying medical schools. Nobody is looking for real cures. Everything is drugs, drugs, drugs. Keep you sick, coming and paying, and keep the drug companies happy, right? It's a confirmation for that? Yes. Again, the science is there. A few weeks ago, big supports that were done by different people, the evaluation of where the U.S. is in terms of ranking in the world. Well, it turns out it's between number 37, 47, and 52 in the world. We are outdone by underdeveloped countries. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Dr. Kugler, we have to wrap up this remarkable interview. Now, in December, you are lecturing in Las Vegas at what convention?
That's the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. The website is worldhealth.net. December 12th through 15th is the biggest anti-aging medical conference, and the nicest thing is laypersons can attend. And they have hundreds of lectures from every aspect of anti-aging medicine. You can also find at their website doctors, if you need a personal physician certified in anti-aging and medicine. They have exhibitors, 400 exhibitors, with every aspect of from facial regeneration, regrowing hair, body shaping, body analysis, stem cell use. I mean, it's absolutely magnificent.
And once again, what's the name of the organization?
American Academy Anti-Aging Medicine. The website is worldhealth.net. And while you're there, sign up for the newsletter.
And excuse me, when does this convention start?
12th through 15th.
In Las Vegas. What hotel?
Las Vegas, at the Venetian.
At the Venetian. Okay, very good.
And while you're at the website, sign up for the e-journal newsletter, which is the best information, and it's free.
All righty.
You want to find a doctor? Do it at the same website, right?
All right. That sounds good.
I mean, they have so many free services there. They also have a forum.
That's right, Dr. Kugler, we have to go. Okay. They have to come see you in Las Vegas. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Transmedia Network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We just had a remarkable interview with Dr. Hans Kugler. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to the Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network. and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Barbara Perkins, inviting you to join us every Sunday afternoon at 2:40 for Sisters at the Well Radio, a conversation with women about women. Join us as we share stories about current events, jazz events, business opportunities, health and wellness, entertainment, and so much more. So don't forget to tune in Sundays at 2:40, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez.
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
On LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
Exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Attend the Las Vegas Congress of Anti-Aging Medicine, and you'll be amazed about the many presentations in anti-aging, stem cells, regeneration, disease treatments, facial rejuvenation, and anti-aging lifestyle. One key area would be the use of a new deer antler extract that can be replaced instead of human growth hormone, much less expensive. And hundreds of exhibitors with new modalities in facial rejuvenation, hair growth, body shaping, weight management, and anti-aging nutrients. Check it out at worldhealth.net.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'd like to thank my co-host, Dr. Hans Kugler, for his remarkable presentation in the last segment. And now to give everyone a little break from all that information that Dr. Kugler gave us, let's talk about food that we all like to eat is actually good for us. Well, there's been a lot of discussion recently about the idea of gluten-free foods and how important that is for many of us. And so some people are putting out some really good tasting products that capitalize on the idea that you can have a great tasting product that is gluten-free. Well, Jill Morris has a product, Jilz gluten-free, and we have Jill with us. Jill, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you, Josh. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Happy to have you here. So for my listening audience and my viewing audience, what is gluten and why is it a problem?
Well, for many, gluten is in so many foods, but it causes an inflammation in the body. And for about 3 million, just 3 million with celiac disease, it causes huge and severe suffering.
What's celiac disease?
Celiac is, as you know, a disease brought on by eating gluten.
Right.
It's a gene that doesn't recognize, and I'm not the chemist, but for many with celiac, it's debilitating. There's different degrees with gluten intolerance, and celiac is the worst.
All right. And a lot of people who maybe don't have celiac, but eat foods with gluten, and they get all sorts of symptoms anyway?
Yes. Yeah. It ranges from just stiffness to bloating to irritable bowel to, a myriad of things. Foggy, lots of things.
Actually, when I eat gluten, which I don't do anymore pretty much, I like gluten, but I get dry skin.
Oh.
Every time I eat gluten, like a corn tortilla, which I like, I get dry skin. Now, some people will say, no, Josh, the gluten in wheat is not the same as the gluten in corn. And yes, I agree, that's true. But still, corn seems to be a bad agent if you're sensitive to gluten.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of different foods, including the dairy, that's also tied with people who
cow's
suffer
milk
from
product
Yep.
problems with, for not everyone, but for a lot of people. I completely agree. What prompted you to put these out? Did you have some health problems?
Actually, I've noticed some over the years, but I don't have celiac, so I'm grateful. I met and married a man about 3 years ago.
Who?
A man, my husband, Ron Morris.
Not just any man, but
No,
okay.
the man. I met the man.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, the man of my life. And he was gluten intolerant all of his life, though I'm not sure he fully recognized it or understood it. Tall, skinny guy, and so and I love to cook. I'm a chef, and I just kept throwing. Every meal would have pastas and breads and all these great things. He would eat them, and by the end of the evening, he would be suffering. And so we just, about a year ago, and I'd been off grain. Personally, I'd been off grain for about 2.5 years. And then, so about a year ago, we took him off of gluten and pretty much went the paleo lifestyle.
And you both feel better.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, within 24 hours of him not having anything with gluten, he was like, he said to me, he looked at me and he said, I have never felt this good in the evening.
Right.
So it was.
Now, for my listeners who have maybe heard the term paleo, but not quite sure what the reference is to, can you give me a definition?
Well, paleo is just going back to the way cavemen ate.
Right.
Simple. It's what you could hunt and gather, and it wasn't it wasn't processed. It grew or it ran around. It walked.
Right.
So.
Right. So in other words, it really avoids processed sugar, but also it avoids grain.
It avoids grain, gluten, a lot.
Yeah. I personally found that now, because I love talking about food as a healing tool, and it's always been what I've always done. And I find now that I haven't eaten wheat in 35 or 40 years, but I was eating brown rice and millet, which are theoretically gluten-free. But I found through all the information now about paleo diets, Weston Price Foundation in San Diego, very strong advocates that grain is not a great idea, and I enjoy reading their materials. I find them credible and consistent. And I stopped using brown rice and millet, and I felt better. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. Because I knew the information, and for a while I was hemming and hawing about doing it. And when I finally did it, I thought, I'm better not doing this, not eating this stuff. I'm just better. So.
It's just, when you feel better, you just feel better.
Right. Yeah, you feel better. You see, you kind of proved, and like, as with your hubby, just in a couple of days you realize, oh, yeah. It's really very clear, actually, when you stop drinking soda.
Right.
When I was a young guy, I used to listen to the old health guys teach, guys like Jack LaLanne and stuff, and they would never say the name of the soda. They would always say soda pop. And I always thought to myself, well, there's nothing called soda pop. Why don't you give the name of the product? But now that I'm an older dude myself, I use the word soda pop as well, because you don't want to fight with the big guys too much, I guess.
You don't want to make them mad.
No, you don't want to. Just kind of stay out of the way, hoping that they, maybe sell something different. Now, so you are just a good chef, and you decided to make these.
Yes. Took on I'm not so much a recipe follower, but I saw a recipe and began morphing it, and that's what I do. And
Well, they certainly look very professional. And so what's in these?
basic ingredients, along with a paleo lifestyle. They also are vegan, so there's no dairy, corn, soy, no grain. It is basic ingredients. It's almond flour.
Oh, no grain at all.
No grain at all.
Oh my goodness, that's progressive.
Yes, and it's a new cracker. I mean, there literally is not a cracker on the market that has these ingredients with this outstanding taste.
Well, they look very stylish. I will say that because when they sell us food, I remember when I was a kid, they came out with a product called Screaming Yellow Zonkers.
Yes.
Which I always thought as a kid, I never ate that, but I thought, now that's a great name. Because it was just so weird a name, and I thought, that's the name, Screaming Yellow Zonkers.
Right.
And they were around for a long time. Your crackers have a delightful look to them. They have a great look to them.
Thank you. Well, they're tasty, they're healthy, and they. One thing that I love about them is they make a difference in a lot of people's lives, because a lot of people I know and that are coming, every day to me say, I haven't been able to eat a cracker.
Right.
Thank you. I mean, just the gratitude that's coming forth.
People miss guacamole. Figured, I miss guacamole here. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it with celery, but that's okay. Celery's good, but you'd like a cracker.
Oh, you can dip these in anything. Dip or just straight out of the box for a good high protein snack.
All right. So now you've already told me that they are almond flour. Can you ask what the other ingredients are?
Yes, almond flour, sesame seeds, flax, chia, tapioca flour, which is in the world of paleo is acceptable. It's from cassava.
It's from cassava. I did not know.
Yeah.
I was okay.
Yep.
Did not know.
Apple cider vinegar and purified water. So everything besides the almond flour is organic ingredients.
Well, that does sound like a very progressive formulation. And you came up with this yourself in the kitchen, is that it?
Yep. Well, with the help of my mother, yes.
Wow. And now these have a lovely package too. And where can I get these Jilz gluten-free?
Well, we are in, as of today, in about 30 stores between Santa Barbara and LA. However, we got our first order from San Diego. So we're now in 5 new locations in San Diego.
Well, you want to mention, are you in Lazy Acres up there in Santa Barbara?
Yes, we are.
That's a very lovely store. Shout out to my friend Jeff, who works in the vitamin department.
Hey,
Jeff. And who else? Does PC Greens have your product?
PC Greens on PCH. And,
very nice stock as well.
Erewhon and Lassen's.
Erewhon's?
Yes.
It's a fun store.
Yeah,
Erewhon's really
love
fun.
it.
Lassen's does a very nice job too, quite frankly. Very great old natural food stores. They have a great spirit. Do you have 3 different types, or are they all the same?
We have 3 different types. We have 2 savories. The Mediterranean has a really nice lavender rosemary, a little garlic. And then the Tuscan has a little more of a kick, but not spicy.
What kind of kick?
Spice or kick like a lemon zest.
Oh.
And then the cracked pepper sea salt. If you are a cracked pepper fan, you will love it because it has a wonderful pepper finish.
Oh, my goodness. I have a feeling you're going to be Martha Stewart's best friend one of these days.
Ooh,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, Martha Stewart loves progressive. I shouldn't talk with Martha Stewart, but she loves progressive products, and I think she'd be thrilled with your products.
Well, I'm excited. And just to see people light up when they try the cracker, if they've never tried it before, it is so fun. We actually debuted our cracker at the Ojai Farmers Market just to take it to the public, people that we didn't know. The first couple weekends, we were sold out. We left.
It's a nice farmers market. I've been there.
Oh, it's
It's
fabulous.
a fun market. They have
Yeah.
music too. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I like it. Of course, Ojai's fun.
Yeah.
But they have a nice farmers market. So the response right away is people said, we like it.
Oh, no, they taste it. They taste a little quarter of a cracker, and they put it in their mouth, and their face would light up, and they'd go, this is the best cracker I've ever had.
And they're a tough crowd there in Ojai. Because they're a natural foods crowd. So,
They are.
So
Very
they know product,
Yep.
right? Oh, that's very good.
And
These
a
are very
lot of
good.
people from LA, wonderful people from LA, and everywhere. People come from everywhere to go to Ojai.
Mhm. Yeah, it's fun in Ojai.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very much fun. And what's the cost on these?
You know, they retail anywhere from, I've seen them from $5.99 up to $5.99 up to $9. We also have an online store, and we sell online too, and we ship to anywhere in the United States.
Well, Jill, I very much appreciate you coming in today to Here's to Your Health because, it's really, I had not seen the product actually in person, but they do look so delightful and healthy and They really look good. I think you're going to have a big success.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
we're going to be
appreciate
seeing
it.
a picture on a product like Betty Crocker. We'll be seeing you see Jilz. So Jill, thanks. And once again, give me your website.
It's www.jilz.com.
Well, Jill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been
I
a pleasure
appreciate it.
having you on the show. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Thanks, Josh.
It was fun. It was very much fun. Wow. Yeah, you quite a good show today, being on with Hans as well. It was good.
Wow.
Yeah, that Hans really
He's a
knows his
hard act to
science.
follow.
He's a very,
I was
he's
a
very
little
tough-
intimidated.
he's
It's
a-
like, oh no.
He's a very tough act to follow, and that's why I try to do food people on. And then
Light
Hans,
and-
yeah, because it's more fun, so people can listen to Hans and think, oh Jesus, and then because
Yeah.
he's like, here's the information,
Yes.
so he's great. So,
Great.
Thank you, Josh. Josh, thanks again for the opportunity. There's going to be some great coffee here for you.
Okay, very good, sure. All right, do you want to try any coffee? You two drinking coffee or no? No.
I love coffee. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a decaf drinker.
Oh, okay.
But if you'd like to try a great cracker.
Attend the Las Vegas Congress of Anti-Aging Medicine, and you'll be amazed about the many presentations in anti-aging, stem cells, regeneration, disease treatments, facial rejuvenation, and anti-aging lifestyle. One key area would be the use of a new deer antler extract that can be replaced instead of human growth hormone, much less expensive. And hundreds of exhibitors with new modalities in facial rejuvenation, hair growth, body shaping, weight management, and anti-aging nutrients. Check it out at worldhealth.net.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Barbara Perkins, inviting you to join us every Sunday afternoon at 2:40 for Sisters at the Well Radio, a conversation with women about women. Join us as we share stories about current events, jazz events, business opportunities, health and wellness, entertainment, and so much more. So don't forget to tune in Sundays at 2:40, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is John McClure Jr., a.k.a. Simply John, and I would like to invite you to join us on gospelrhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, gospelrhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to gospelrhythms.com on LA Talk Live. And we're more than just talk. Remember, it's a heaven's party here on earth. So live life. Love God.
The American Heart Association's Heart Walk is coming. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your coworkers. Help yourself and those around you to live longer, healthier lives. Form a team today and walk to help the American Heart Association defeat heart disease and stroke, two of the nation's leading killers. For more information, visit heartwalk.org.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
Good afternoon. This is Raphaele Cohen-Bacry, your co-host for Here's to Your Health today. And we're going to spend the next 30 minutes with my friend, Dr. Patricia Wynn-Jones. Hi, Patricia.
Hello, Raphaele.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Want to get closer. Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to introduce you briefly, and then you'll tell us about your background. But Dr. Wynn-Jones and I have been known each other for, what, 10 years, 8 years? Yeah. I remember coming to your practice, and you were so warm and nice. Not that everybody isn't, but you were particularly nice and interested in alternative medicines, and that's how we got to know each other.
Yes.
You got into homeopathy, and so we kind of really got along from the beginning. But if you can, today we're going to talk about your book. I think it's your first book, right?
This is my first book.
And it's called Today I, with 3 periods.
Yes.
And if you can give us a little bit of your background before we talk about the book so people know who you are and where you're coming from.
All right. I'm an anesthesiologist, trained at UCLA, and I am a pain management specialist. I have a private solo practice in Los Angeles, and my focus is on complementary and alternative medicine, integrating it into the traditional medical practice.
Because you deal with a lot of the time you deal with people who have chronic pain, right? That has been going on for a long time and nothing really helped them.
I get the worst of the worst, the ones that a lot of people have given up on.
Yes.
But there's no giving up. There's always an option available. We just need to explore to see what else is available. And between Western medicine has its benefits, alternative medicine has its benefits, but the combination gives you the best of all worlds.
So when you have a patient, you choose between all those tools, and you tailor.
I do tailor it to the patient. When they come into my office, I'll ask them, "Why are you here?" And oftentimes that catches them off guard. Like, what do you mean? My doctor sent me. I said, "What are you expecting to accomplish from this visit?" And they'll pause for a moment. And after talking for a while, we'll find out they're looking for some comfort. They're looking for peace. They're looking for meaning in the world. And I'll tell them, when we go there, there's no pain there. And that's where we'll start. I also tell them that when they come into the office, they're already whole, perfect, and complete. So we have to actually change the paradigm, the medical paradigm that they are accustomed to. As we think about what is available to them, they realize that they've got everything they already need. We just need to tap into it. What I consider my job to create an environment that's safe for them to heal. And I help them listen to what their body's saying. And as they find their balance, they find their peace.
That's beautiful. I'm sure it's a very different approach from what they used to.
I think it is. And we get some amazing results. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you should be, because you should be proud of what you're doing. So that book, I think you've been carrying it within yourself for a long time, right? We've been talking about it. So when you called me and you said, that's it, it's out and it's great, I was so excited. So tell us a little bit, first of all, why did you write it?
Well, as you said, this book has been inside of me for a while. And it turns out these are the things I say to my patients all the time. And I think my patients knew this book was coming before I did. They said, "Doc, do you have a book? You need to write this down." So finally, I'm not repeating it over and over again, it's in a book form.
So I didn't have a chance to look at the actual copy, but I read what you sent me, and to me it looks very interesting because it's something you can apply to your life. It's not like a big book that you have to read from cover to cover necessarily. So first of all, tell us the title again because it's beautiful.
The title is Today I. Talk yourself to a happier, healthier life in 5 minutes a day.
That's what I like, the 5 minutes. That's for me.
It is for the busy person, the person who says, I don't have time for this. It's the Start Here First book, self-help, Start Here First. You have 5 minutes every morning. You have the time to get into the moment. And the title Today I is about mindfulness meditation, being in the moment, and taking responsibility. Actually, I like to say this is my take on the new healthcare reform.
I like that. It's very
you
thin.
take
as
responsibility, yes.
You do, yes, and that's new. Because we all, I think it's just human. We have a tendency to blame, people or events or anything.
Well, we're trained that way.
Yeah.
We're trained that way. The media pushes you to think that your help is outside. Everything, our culture trains you in that direction. So as you start to take responsibility for yourself, of course, medical science has made some amazing leaps and bounds. But there are some things that you can do. You're already hardwired to heal, to heal yourself. And more than what you eat and more than your exercise level, being very protective of your psyche will do a lot more than any of those other modalities. So being protective, knowing that you have the ability to heal, knowing that peace belongs to you, knowing that you're already whole, perfect, and complete. As you start to embrace that, you start to embody that, and you start to reflect that. The symptoms that we have, they have a purpose. Their purpose is to let you know that something's out of balance and where it's out of balance. So as opposed to turning off the symptoms, which is what we tend to do in Western medicine, if you notice where the symptoms are and how they make you feel, as you start to approach that, you'll know how to reverse that.
And that's also being more responsible because you have to listen to your body, and as opposed to just go to the doctors and something is wrong, just fix me, which doesn't work, right?
And our medical community wants to help. So I'm not knocking my colleagues or the practice. It's just as we start to become more responsible, as we start to love ourselves unconditionally, as we start to take more responsibility for what's going on with us, we'll find out we're more powerful than we ever imagined. We have the power to speak into existence what you want to happen. And
that is so amazing. It's hard to really understand it, that you have the power to.
And we do this even by default. When you don't realize how powerful you are, you speak into existence the things that you don't want. If you say, "Oh, I'll never get this right," or "I'll never lose that weight," or "The money's just too hard to come by," that becomes your reality. So I want to help people understand how powerful you are and to make that change.
But this book is not only for patients who have pain, or it's for everybody, right?
This is for everyone to be happier and healthier. Be in the moment and talk to yourself. Positive self-talk is a phrase that I've coined.
I didn't know that you coined it. Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it anywhere else. But we talk to ourselves all the time. Just make it more positive. Take a moment, listen to what you're saying, and put a positive spin on it. Almost anything that you say can have a positive spin.
Or negative.
Or a negative spin. So you make the choice. So choose to say something more positive to yourself. Choose to see the positive. It's there. Everything that you desire already exists. It's either in the manifested state or the unmanifested state. So you choose which one by where you place your focus. If you focus on the negative, that becomes your reality. If you focus on the positive, then you can make the shift to making that become your reality. It all exists right now in real time. Just depends on where you place your focus.
So this book is here to help us do that, right? Because not everybody is familiar. I've been talking to you for many years, so I'm a little bit familiar. But I'm thinking about someone who's new to that and wants to get into this new concept or new word. How do you recommend to read your book?
I recommend you open it up to any page,
Uh-huh.
and you can either read it from cover to cover, or you can read one line at a time, or one chapter a day. But just open it up. It will speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
It'll speak to your world. As you start your day off, I recommend that you either start the beginning of the day looking at this book or the end of the day.
All those golden moments.
Those golden moments where it will, if you do it in the beginning of the day, you can set the rest of your day along that frequency,
Mm-hmm.
something positive. If you end your day that way, you can go into a slumber
Mm-hmm.
in a more positive note, so you may wake up a little happier.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new science called epigenetics
Yes.
that states how you how you perceive your environment can actually affect your physiology by directing gene expression.
This is very interesting and very amazing, actually.
It is amazing, and it's just now really coming into mainstream slowly.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around for years. Epigenetics is above genetic expression.
Mm-hmm.
So how you perceive your environment. An example is if I were to talk to you and tell you that there was a meteorite careening out of the heavens,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to hit you right where you sat. And if I had monitors on you,
Mm-hmm.
I could show that your breathing would get shallow and rapid, and your heart may start beating faster as I engaged you more into what was about to happen to you. Just as your physiology can change by you imagining this meteorite careening out of the heavens, you can actually direct a clot.
Mm-hmm.
You may be able to dissolve a stone.
Wow.
You may be able to move something from a blood vessel just as easily as you can stand up out of that chair and go through a door. You have the ability to do that. You may not realize I've had the training, the medical training, but the baby who takes his first breath and all the amazing things that have to happen for that to happen has never gone to school.
Yes.
Your body
That's
has
so
an
true.
innate knowledge. It knows what to do.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to do in this Today is just get you back in touch with what your body already knows. So as you feel the comfort and the peace in reading each stanza of the book, each line of the book, each chapter, you start to feel better. And as you start to feel better, you kind of get out of your own way. That resistance starts to dissolve, and you start to find your balance and your ease.
Well, I heard that before, that you can be your worst enemy, right? And this is so true. Sometimes you just talk yourself into a bad situation, or you, like, I don't know if you say that in English, but in France you say you fight a lost battle. You go into something and you already tell yourself it's not going to work. So why do you go, right?
This is true.
But we still
you
do
can
it.
You can make it happen. You can make that your truth, your reality.
Have you had patients of yours reading the? I know it's very new, but did you hear from patients who are?
Oh yes, everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. There's such a buzz around the hospital now about this book, and as a matter of fact, some of my colleagues are talking about it. I speak with them. And I tell them what I'm doing. I'm known as that touchy-feely doctor. But I have such good results that they're not laughing at it so much. They say they would love to be able to do this, but the way their practices are set up, they're not able to. It's not conducive to being able to get enough patients in the door, out the door, and do what you need to do. So I said, well, you don't have to do it. Just give them a book.
Just give them a book or send them to your.
So this will get them started. But this is a good way to get started.
It is, and I browsed, and I really like this one. I liked. It's the number 8. I don't remember the exact definition, but it's about truth.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because this is so refreshing to to hear that, this world we live in is very deceptive, and it's all about, what you look like. But this is, can you tell the name of the chapter again?
Today I live in truth.
This is just simple.
Would you like me to read it?
I would love it, yeah.
The truth needs no support. It stands on its own and resonates from a place from deep within. I would naturally recognize the truth when in its presence, but can be, as others often are, trained to ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Lies need to be repeated. They're propped up and built upon. The only life they have is the life force I give. Today, I live in truth.
It's beautiful.
So if you were just to even use one line
Mhm.
and take that throughout the day, you would see your day a little bit differently.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yes, it's just it's very true.
Ladies, if I could just throw in one piece of my 2 cents there.
Of course.
What you're just talking about and all this other stuff, it's something that I have told people. And they, when I tell them, they look at me a little bit weird. Because what I tell them is, like, for example, when I go to the doctor, or not to the doctor, but when you want to go to the doctor, when I take my pressure, I keep it in my mind. Like, I already know, like, okay, I can feel myself. I mean, that's being in tune with yourself. I can feel myself, and I know I've been drinking coffee. I know I've been excited. It's a little warm. Like, if I take my pressure right now, I'm probably like at about 129 over 73, 75.
Mhm.
And I'm always within a few numbers.
Mm.
That's what I tell people. When you go to a doctor, you got to tell him your pressure. You got to tell him how you're doing. You can't expect the doctor to tell you, because once you go and the doctor's going to tell you, well, you got this and you have that and your pressure this, and then your pressure is even going to go up even higher.
Mhm.
But if you already go with a mindset and, I already know what I'm going to test. I already know where I'm at. Then I feel that you're ahead of the curve in one aspect. Why?
Yes.
Because you're already in tune with your body in one way or another. But I'll let you ladies be back.
No, that's true.
Thank you.
And that's exactly the feeling I had when I read the foreword and a little bit of what's is in your beautiful book. I think it makes you stronger and a little bit more self-confident when you read it. It's like you're not alone thinking this way, and I think it's
Nothing here is new. There's nothing new here. These are words that will resonate with most people.
Mhm.
They tend to not pay attention to it, or they tend to let
We get
other
distracted.
outside things distract you.
Mhm.
But as you go within, as you get still, as you get into the moment, mindfulness meditation or being in the moment, most people, their mind is somewhere else where their body is here.
Mhm.
They're thinking about what they could have done or what they should be doing or what they're going to have to do later. If you can just get into the moment,
Mhm.
just get still, you'll be surprised the calm that's in there. In the moment, there are no problems.
Mhm.
They're just things to either be dealt with or discarded. But in the moment, there are no problems. In the very moment as you breathe, and there's an exercise in here about breathing.
Mhm.
That's one of the best ways to be in the moment. Say, I'm breathing in and take an inhalation. I'm breathing out and exhale.
Mhm.
And just do that every once in a while. Actually, I do that at 1 o'clock every day.
The
I
PM
just
in
stop.
the afternoon? Mhm.
1 o'clock in the afternoon, I just stop. I actually have it on my a timer,
Mhm.
an alarm that says at 1 o'clock, I stop whatever I'm doing and I breathe. One deep cleansing breath.
Mhm.
If you don't have time to do that, you need to check your priorities.
Exactly. And isn't that interesting that breathing, which is like crucial for us, we take it for granted. We don't
Take it
really,
for granted.
yes.
But just take a moment and just take a conscious breath in and out, and then go on with the rest of your day.
Let's take one. So once again, you're on Here's to Your Health. I'm Raphaele Cohen-Bacry, and my guest today is Dr. Patricia Wynn-Jones, talking about her wonderful book. And there's something that you just mentioned, but I like in your book, you also give tips. Like you
Yes.
said, how to breathe. There was something about nutrition, I think, or chlorophyll. And so it's a small book, but it's very rich. That's how I feel.
It is. And you never finish the book
Mhm.
because at different times you'll be at different places in your head. And when you read the words, they'll have a different effect on you.
Mhm.
So, you'll never finish the book. Just keep reading it until you get to that place where you're just so at peace that you're ready for the next book.
Exactly. Are you planning on writing more?
Oh, my goodness. I've got 10 books in my head at least. And they're coming out. The second book is being written. It's the book on pain management for a modern world.
Oh, that's a huge topic, right?
Yes, yes.
I saw this one was dedicated to your mom.
This is my mom is such a brilliant woman, and she doesn't embrace it. I think she's starting to now.
Mm-hmm.
We're from the Mississippi Delta, and they were sharecroppers. And they migrated to Chicago in the 50s when I was a baby. But she has such common sense that's not quite so common anymore.
No,
she's
we lost that.
85, and I think she just decided to stop working. She's just an amazing, gentle spirit with such strength that it just I'm just in awe of her.
Mm-hmm. Did she read the book already?
Yes.
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 She proud?
Likes it. She's proud of me.
She should be. And you also have a daughter that I met, right?
I have 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren.
I met only one of her.
And I have, there were 10 children in the family, and there are 7 of us left. So it's a big family.
That would be a good book for young children, I would think.
Oh, yes.
It's profound, but it's easy to read, which
Easy
is what
to
I
read.
like.
And it's a good idea to get started early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yes.
before, well, there's a lot that's already in the children now. The comedies, the cartoons, everything is so negative, and with all
Violent.
this resistance.
Yes.
Yeah. So as we start to give them some other options, we may see some promising results.
Yes, that's very. You have to counterbalance what's going on in their world, and that would be a great way to do it, I think. Did you come up with the sequence in your chapters? Is it better to? You said you can do it your way, just open the book but if you read it from cover to cover, is there a logic order that you?
Well, there might be. This book was basically inspired. I wrote each chapter one a day. The book was actually finished.
Oh, you wrote one a day?
One a day.
Good.
And I shared it with a few friends, and they started sharing it with a lot of other friends. And they said, you need to put this in a book. So I put it in a book.
There's another one I really like, the one about being selfish. I like that because this is usually so negative, and I thought, no, it's true. Yeah, you have to think about yourself.
You have to think about yourself. You need to give from your overflow. And when you're selfish, when you're loving yourself, you have more to give to others. So again, none of this is new. This is all information that you may have heard. I may have paraphrased it from something else that I've heard in the many years I've been on this earth. But it's still something that we need to hear.
Well, and I think it went through your personal filter. You selected the best for us and what you've seen working with your patients. So it's, nothing new, but like you said, everything is here for us.
And
already.
that one in particular, I share that with my nurses because they give so much. And they need to keep a little bit for themselves so that they can give the best that they do have to give.
That's what happens with healthcare practitioners. That's what we expect them to do, just to give, right?
Yes.
But
give to yourself. If you embrace the idea that we're all one, as you give to yourself, then you're able to give more to others.
Can you go over that a little bit? Even for me, although I heard that before, it's hard for me to understand how we're all one. Because there are people I dislike. It's very hard for me to think.
If there are people that you dislike, then they may be reflecting something or you're resonating on some level. And maybe reflecting something within you that you may want to change or you may want to address. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it or you wouldn't have that kind of reaction. As I realized, as I see people, let me give you an example. I was walking down the street in my neighborhood, and I would see different people. Some would ignore your gaze.
Yes,
some
that
would
happens.
look directly at you. and some would be playful, some smiling, some are deep within their own thoughts. And with each person that I passed, I realized they were reflecting some aspect of me. That's me when I'm in a really dark place. That's me when I'm a little unsure of myself. That's me when I'm being playful and I'm happy. So if you were not resonating, you would not see them. There's so many people on the street, you don't see them all. You don't recognize everyone. Also, another good example? If someone, I love French. If you were to say something to me that was a bit off color in French, I wouldn't know it. I'd just smile.
That's true.
I would say, oh, that sounds so beautiful. But if you said something to me in English that I was unsure about or I felt uncertain about, if I didn't like the way I looked or if I was uncomfortable about some aspect of me, I would get upset. Now, you could say the same thing in French, but if I didn't understand it, I'm not on the same frequency. I don't know.
It's a little bit like when you read emails and you put a tone, like that can be something very simple, but you put a tone like it's aggressive, or you see what I mean? You can change the content of the email by just the way what you put into the email you're reading.
You could. Depends on where you are.
Yes.
My mother would tell us this story about a man who sent his son to college, but the man couldn't read. His son sent him a letter. And so he tried to stop someone on the street and asked him to read the letter because he wanted to know what the son said. And the man was very busy. He said, I don't have time to read this letter. He said, well, please, would you read the letter? And he said, Dear Dad, how you doing? I'm fine. Thanks for the money. I've got to go now, so I'll talk to you later. And he handed the letter back. And the man sat down and he said, oh, that's awful. Listen to the way my son is talking to me. And so another friend came by and said, what's wrong? He said, you should see the letter that my son sent me. He said, well, let me read the letter. Your son, you raised a very good son. He wouldn't say anything rude to you. So the other man, who had enough time, said, Dear Dad, how are you doing? Thanks for the money you sent me. I've got to go now. Bye. He said, no, why didn't he say that in the first place? So it kind of depends on how it's being delivered.
Yes.
And where you are in your head when you hear it. Yes.
But there's hope, right? Everybody can change.
You know, we're all perfect right as we are. And if you embrace that and just go for the ride, go along for the ride, enjoy it. It's not hard. It's just not hard. It's not supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be fun. So as you start to look for the fun in life, you'll start to see it.
It's the half full or half empty glass, I guess, the same story.
Or I'm still feeling it. There's still an option. It doesn't have to be just one or the other.
Yeah,
There's so many in-betweens.
Dr. Wynn-Jones, I'm so glad you're here. I just wanted to ask you, because, this is my favorite topic, homeopathy.
Yes.
How do you see it fitting in that, mindset or the approach you have?
I love homeopathy. This is another interview. We can go for a long time of talking about homeopathy. The whole idea of such minute amounts having such profound effects really gives you a totally different spin. In our society and in our medical culture, you kind of think more is better. I'll write a prescription for a patient, and they say, well, if she wrote for 2, 4 must be better. We isolate certain aspects of formulations and concentrate it and enhance it, and thinking that if you give more, you can have a better effect. But homeopathy totally blows that out the water. It doesn't make it wrong. It just gives you a different aspect. So if looking at something from such a small amount have a profound effect, you really have to rethink a lot of other things. I love the fact that homeopathy, even the name, same homeo, same pathos, illness, using something that has the same effect, like a bee sting, would give you a blister. But using the venom of a bee to treat a cold sore that would give you a blister. And in such minute amounts, you'll get such a dramatic effect. Amazing. I love the fact that homeopathy, as opposed to allopathic medicine, using the opposite using the opposite pathos. Like if you have high blood pressure, you may want to take an antihypertensive. If you have a bacterial infection, you want to take an antibacterial. And that you're treating the beast, you're treating the illness. In homeopathy, you're treating the patient so he doesn't house the illness.
That's so
I
true.
just love that. That gives you more reason to find your balance. And homeopathy is just a much gentler way of doing it.
Well, think about it when you said that your thoughts can change the course of your illness. So why not, a minute amount of something?
Yes. There's energy, and I believe that there's energy in even the homeopathic doses. There's such small doses that no molecule of that substance is found in the water, but it still has an effect. I think that needs to be more investigated.
Yes. I think the latest I've read is we're gearing towards more, this is sending an information more than necessarily, which goes the same way, like, positive thoughts send a message and information for your body to react and take charge.
We're in a vibrational universe. So as you look at it in that light, you'll see that thoughts have vibration. The molecules or the substances have a certain vibration. As you start to embrace that, more so than just the pharmaceuticals, they have a vibration too. It's just more to it. There's just more that needs to be investigated. And I'm excited about the times that we are living in.
Yes. There's a lot of things to do.
Yes.
If people want to purchase your book, what's the best way?
Well, it's available on Amazon.com. I am still developing the website that's on the book, so it will eventually be available through the website, todayibook.com. But right now, it is available on Amazon.
And if people want to come to your practice, do you accept new patients? Are you booked? I guess you're booked.
We're pretty booked, but we are accepting new patients. Do you need me to give the address?
That would be, yes, of course.
I'm in the 5901 West Olympic Boulevard and the medical building, Medical Plaza, Olympia Medical Plaza.
It's across the street, Olympic from...
across the street from Olympia Medical Center, where I am the head of pain management at Olympia Medical Center.
You treat adults mostly, or can children...
I treat adults. The hospital does not have a pediatric section, but my fellowship training at UCLA was in pediatric pain management.
Oh, I remember you mentioned that. Yes.
At the time, I was one of 5 in the Western Hemisphere. I think I was the first at UCLA. Now there's been so many more people coming through that. And it was a field that was very necessary. And as a matter of fact, that's probably one of the ways I got interested in complementary medicine. Because when we started the program at UCLA, we would treat the neonatal patients in the ICU, the ones that would have heart surgeries or other surgeries. And people really didn't know how to treat them. And the parents were sometimes afraid to touch their babies. So we did
because they were in pain?
Because they were in pain, they had tubes, and the babies would only get the nurses that would come by or the doctors that would come by and do painful procedures on them. And they were in the ICU, the lights were on all the time, noise were on all the time. We hired a masseuse to come in and show the parents how to touch the babies. We put masks on them so that they could develop their own circadian rhythm. We put headphones on them so they could hear their mother's sounds or heartbeat. And we found that the babies needed less medication. They would heal a lot faster. They'd come off the ventilator a lot faster. So that kind of got me thinking, well, if this works for babies, maybe this can work for adults.
Yeah, that's something.
So I love. I'm not treating a lot of children now, but I can treat children. They respond extremely well to alternative medicine, especially hypnotherapy. So
Do you practice hypnotherapy
I do
yourself?
hypnotherapy. I do homeopathy. I do acupuncture.
I know every time I come and see you, you have something new. It's so exciting.
And I do energy medicine. So yes, whatever I can find that will help the patient as we start to move away from medications.
And people come to you because you do alternative medicine, or they find out once. I mean, the new people who come.
Well, I do chronic pain management, so a lot of people are just realizing that I do the alternative medicine. So they'll come to me. Actually, I'm starting to look only for the patients that are looking to come off of medications.
Because some don't, right? Some just want to.
Well, you know, everyone's in a different place. For those who are ready, then I'm there. But I do surgeries. I do spinal cord stimulator placement. I do nerve blocks. I do epidurals. I do medication management, along with the acupuncture and the hypnotherapy and the energy medicine. So I'm kind of a one-stop shop. So for the patients of mine that need the procedures, I don't necessarily have to send them away. But that's not the focus that I'm looking for.
Dr. Wynn-Jones, tell me again. I just want to go through your. There was another one that I really liked. Oh, I like this one. Would you read it? I don't know. Today it's all about me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's all about me today.
Well, every day it's all about me.
No, about me. I mean.
This one in particular, today it's all about me. The morning sky puts on a light show just for me, whether I'm there to see it or not. There will be another show this evening in hopes that I will take a moment and watch and appreciate its splendor. The leaves on the trees, in case I pause, have dressed up in an amazing color palette just to entice me to smile. The faces on the people I pass today will reflect not only how I feel, but how I want to feel. Today, things will go my way because today is all about me.
I like the how I want to feel.
How
this
I
is
want
so new,
to feel.
right?
I
Because
love
we
that.
all want to feel good, but we don't really know how to do it. Yeah.
Well, this is a way to start. Just figure out, if you want to feel that, you don't have to figure out how it's going to happen. Just put it out there, the intention, and the universe will find a way to make it happen. You'll find there are no coincidences. Things will come, people will show up, and you'll find your joy.
I remember you were a great comfort a few years ago. I was disappointed with something, and you just said, it's for a reason. Just, that was not for you. And I thought, yeah, it's probably true. And you happen to be right.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I was of help.
No. Thank you for that. Dr. Wynn-Jones, I think we're almost out of time. I just want to...
Can I read
Of
one
course.
more?
Oh,
if,
yeah,
if I
please.
can. This one is my favorite. Today I am beloved. This one gives me such peace. In a place where there was no space or time, my beloved and I made an agreement that if I were to exist on this dimension, my beloved would greet me daily, throughout the day, in various forms, and in a way that I would know that it was my beloved to make me smile, reminding me of that divine aspect of me, reminding me of that God connection, reminding me of my truth. Some days my beloved greets me as the scent of soft roses, or as the joyful sound of children laughing, or as the toothless smile of an old Asian man, or as an unexpected call from an old friend, or as the sway in my hips as I take long leggy strides after I fit perfectly into my skinny jeans, or in finding the perfect thing to say, or in the warm, passionate embrace of a lover. And if perchance that lover no longer finds favor in me, I smile, because I know my beloved greets me daily in various forms. Today, my beloved greets me. Today, I am beloved.
It's like a poem.
I love that one.
It's
You're
a
never
beautiful
alone
one.
then.
No, you're not. Thank you so much, Dr. Wynn-Jones. Again, your book is Today I. It's available on Amazon, and I think it goes for
1995.
That's not expensive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we're going to have a short break, and we'll be back with Josh Lane on Here's to Your Health.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Jerry Bell of the Daz Band in New Birth. And I'm Brahima Arsalan. Inviting you to join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics, baby. Join us as we play some of the greatest hits of soul and R&B and listen in to interesting discussions with the legends of the music. So don't you forget, join us on the Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com, baby. Reality crafted for your listening pleasure. And we are more than just talk, baby. We are music.
Join me every Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon for Faith on the Front Line. We don't just talk about it. We are about it. That's our motto. Don't just talk about it, be about it. We highlight the issues and challenges that we face today and how faith communities and leaders make a difference. The Front Line, exclusively here on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B and watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Attend the Las Vegas Congress of Anti-Aging Medicine, and you'll be amazed about the many presentations in anti-aging, stem cells, regeneration, disease treatments, facial rejuvenation, and anti-aging lifestyle. One key area would be the use of a new deer antler extract that can be replaced instead of human growth hormone, much less expensive. And hundreds of exhibitors with new modalities in facial rejuvenation, hair growth, body shaping, weight management, and anti-aging nutrients. Check it out at worldhealth.net.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm here with registered pharmacist Raphaele Cohen-Bacry. Raphaele Cohen-Bacry is the educator for Boiron Homeopathic Medicines. Raphaele is my co-host. Raphaele, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you, Josh. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm happy to have you here.
Happy to
I enjoyed your interview with Dr. Wynn-Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice interview, actually. I see you're making some real inroads into the medical community here in LA.
Which is very encouraging, yes.
It's very encouraging. It's very encouraging when you have a physician with her background talking about the need for these effective and gentler medications.
I think it gives hope also to a lot of people who think there's no answer for them. They tried everything, especially in her field,
Right.
the pain management. So it's just wonderful to open the door and tell those people there are things for you, things you can do yourself.
Oh, yes.
They're not necessarily expensive.
That's right.
It's just
And
here
they're
for you.
completely safe. And I think actually at this juncture, whenever we do a little session on homeopathic medicines, I always want to mention right away that these are regulated by the FDA as drugs in the United States, and they've been regulated as drugs by the FDA since, I think, 1938.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Boiron products say exactly what they do on the label.
Mm-hmm. And that's good to remind people, and also I'm always trying to tell physicians, be comfortable. It's not, you're doing something good. Those are regulated medicines.
Right.
So don't, be open and just use them. They're here for you.
That's right. These are established products. They're not like some possibly remedy that it's fashionable for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and turns out to be kind of foolish. These have been shown to be effective.
Actually, I was told that homeopathy, the term homeopathy, was created before allopathy. So
it was?
Yes. So it's not something new. Sometimes people think there are a lot of misconceptions. It's not people's fault. I guess we have to be better at communicating. First of all, it's not Eastern medicine. It's Western medicine,
right.
And those are medicines. They're not herbal. They're not vitamins, which are great.
Right.
But it's just a different category.
Right.
And like we always say, in Europe, it's in pharmacies. You need to be a physician to prescribe homeopathic medicines. So they're just part of the other medicines. They're as legitimate as the other ones.
Right.
And there's a place for, like Dr. Wynn-Jones was saying, there is room for everything. Sometimes you do need those strong medicines, but every time you can do without them and get better with another option that's gentler and that doesn't cause side effects, why not?
No, for sure. And so homeopathic medicine and allopathic medicine, allopaths are MDs, they're healers who use drugs and surgery to heal. Is that a good definition?
That's a good definition. I would add that allopathic medicines, they're fighting against something that's happening in your body. Like we were saying, you have hypertension, you're going to take anti-hypertension medicines. You have infection, you're going to take antibodies. So very often it's anti-something. And, very often you need that. But if you can be either more proactive or act early on, maybe you're gonna avoid being sick, which is we're getting we're getting there. I hear a lot of doctors talking about preventive medicine. So I think it's a good movement. It's going to change a lot of things. It's very clear that we live longer. So, but it's not enough to live longer. You want to live be in a good shape. And enjoy your time. Otherwise, it has no sense. No. So, I think homeopathy, and there are many other options. You should be able to combine a lot of different options to stay well and find maybe what suits you better. So for some people, acupuncture is just wonderful.
Right.
It depends. I think it's
so people have more good choices,
and
I think when you have more choices, you worry less, don't you? You think, I have choices.
You do. The thing is, though, for example, I'm thinking about what we call chronic condition in homeopathy. You also have to know how to be patient, because I had that conversation with the doctor last week, and she was saying that the population she was dealing with, they wanted really fast relief, and they didn't have the patience to maybe work deeper. With homeopathy, they just wanted a pill to feel better. So that's also something we need to change. That things that have been there for a long time in your body, they might take longer to.
I think you're a registered pharmacist. So if you give people advice, they'll listen to you because you're a registered pharmacist. So if you say to them, okay, listen, if you take this shot of cortisone, the pain in your elbow will go away in 2 minutes. That's very impressive. But if you use arnica montana or whatever homeopathic item you're using, it's a different model of healing. There's a different time frame.
Mhm.
And I could say that probably within 7 to 10 days, you'll have less pain. So as long as people kind of know, I'm just making that number up.
No, I
As long
understand.
as people know, okay, if I try this, here's why I'm trying this, and this is what it'll do for me, and here's when it'll do that, then I think the patients are much happier to think, okay, fine, it's not going to kick in 2 minutes like the cortisone, but in an X amount of time it will kick in. It's inexpensive. It's completely safe. There's no downside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's mainly education. I think, like you say, if you explain that it's a different modality, people are more ready to accept it. But you can also combine both.
Yes.
For an excruciating pain, maybe arnica is not going to be sufficient.
Right.
First, but you can use both together, and then you're going to be able to decrease the amount of painkiller and along with your arnica. And so that's how we have to work, and that's why I know at Boiron we put a lot of effort educating physicians, because we think you need both to really treat someone the right way.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, sure. And when the physicians are educated, then obviously, and they're happy with the results, they think, oh, I'm helping my patients is better,
But you know what's funny? A few physicians I know, when I ask them, so have you been using? So, oh yeah. So what do you think? Oh, that's great. I used it with on my family and my friends. And are you happy? Oh yeah. So why don't you use it with your patients? They feel like they're doing something maybe that's not legitimate, and we need to change that.
Well, they might be thinking that,
Mhm.
and they also might be thinking that these are still outside the accepted medical protocol.
Yes.
And if there was any trouble with the patient at all, let's say something happened, the patient got sick or something bad happened, then the attorney for the patient can say, and that physician was giving them homeopathic items, could go after them because it's still out of the accepted medical protocol. So from a defensive posture, you realize how the MD would think, well, my wife and I will use it, and the kids will use it, and da-da-da, but maybe for the patients I won't, because they figure there's too much downside risk for them financially. I mean, I kind of get that. I mean, you get it, right?
I think also it's because they feel a bit isolated. They think there are very
They're the
few
only
of
ones,
them.
right.
Yes. So they don't feel strong enough to tell their patients, take it, I believe in it. But that's why your show and others' show and what all we do with the physicians is important, because the more, or like Dr. Oz, is very good at, making things very easy to understand for people. And I think whatever you think of Dr. Oz or other doctors, the thing is that
I think highly of Dr. Oz, actually. I think he's had very positive influence.
Well, because he's talking about it, and then people can do their research if they're really interested.
Right.
Doctors, because it's an introduction. But at least people hear about it, and then they can, choose what they want. And I think the more we're going to talk about it, the easier it's going to be for physicians who want to offer something else. And the one I know that use homeopathy, I would say almost all of them, they look so much, maybe not happier, but like in tune with what they want to do. A lot of them were burnt out before we
that happens to physicians.
Well, because they're not happy with what they're doing. They feel like drug peddlers almost, and they have very little time with their patient, and that's not what they wanted to do when they went to medical school. This is a tough school too. It's very hard to become a physician, and I think the least you should expect is to enjoy what you're doing and feeling good about yourself.
Yes, it'd be nice to enjoy your work, and as a physician who he or she enjoys their work, they're probably much better physicians. The patients would wish you could spend 10, 15, 20 minutes with them rather than 2 minutes.
Well, like Dr. Wynn-Jones was saying about, thoughts, what they can do to you, epigenetics. We know it's a well-known fact that, the contact you have with your physician is very important. I think I told you my brother is a physician in Canada. If I'm sick or I worry about, being sick or something, the mere fact to talk to him and exposing what's going on, I already feel better, because he's a good healer.
Someone you trust to talk to,
yes,
right, for sure.
And that's like the placebo effect. It's important. We should use it instead of discarding.
It's very powerful.
It is.
It's actually a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, and today I just wanted to talk about stress and how to relieve stress.
And or is it an important topic?
It is, and we could go on for a long time, but the options we have available, I mean, besides homeopathic medicines, they're not very satisfying. There are a lot of side effects, or they can interact with your other medicines. There's a dependency that you can, experience after several weeks. You shouldn't take them for more than, a few days, but a lot of people do, because dependency is the problem, that the more you take it, the more you need it, and you need to increase the doses. So it doesn't really solve anything. You get a lot of side effects. You can feel drowsy. There are a lot of problems. And for example, I'm thinking you can be stressed. You're a student. You go to college and you're gonna have your final. This is stressful, and stress is not necessarily bad. This is also what gets you going. But when it becomes really that it impacts your sleep, or you cannot eat, or you cannot really function, you need help. But if you take a medicine that's going to knock you out and you're not alert and you cannot function, this is not working either. So that's why I think homeopathic medicine should be a first line treatment, because you don't have all those downsides. It's inexpensive.
It is actually very inexpensive.
It is. Sometimes people don't realize, but like Sedalia, our medicine for stress, there are 60 tablets, and it goes for, I think, around $11. And you're not going to use it every day. You're going to use it when you feel stressed.
Right.
The only time where I would use it regularly is, for example, if you have several tests, several exams, and you're going to be stressed for a month, that maybe you might to take it every day. But other than that, just when you feel you're becoming a little bit edgy and anxious, that's when you take it. It's a great combination of several medicines, and they all help with the nervousness, the irritability, the hypersensitivity. When you're stressed, you take everything the wrong way. So the fatigue also, you get, because you're very tense, you get fatigued really quickly. And this is a medicine that you can take adults and children above 12. Again, it's not because if you're younger it's dangerous. It's just because we don't want parents to, maybe this is not normal if a child doesn't sleep, for many nights. You really want to see a physician, or if he's really very stressed, maybe there's something different that you want to have addressed by a physician. That's why we put an age limit.
Right.
But it's
and what's the age limit?
12.
12.
Mm-hmm. So, but again, you could take it even if you're younger, but we just recommend, since it's what we call an OTC medicine, meaning that you can just take it from the shelf without talking to a pharmacist or a physician. This is more the condition that drives the 12-year-old limit than the medicine itself.
Right.
So what you do, you take 2 tablets, you let them melt. You don't even need water, so it's very convenient if you're driving, if you're flying. Some people get really nervous, especially around the holidays. You might have to fly to visit family, and some people it's very hard for them, especially if they don't fly very often. That's another great option. You don't want to be sleepy when you take the plane, because what if they change your flight, your gate,
Hey, it's fun to be on vacation, so you kind of enjoy the experience rather than be kind of drugged or something.
Yes.
Downed out, or whatever that expression is these days.
It's that, and that's exactly the goal. It's something that's gonna relieve your symptoms, but leaves you alert, and you can function, you can focus. If you're a student, if you have to, accommodate a lot of family members, you want to be,
you want to be, there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's what this Sedalia medicine does. I think I've been using it from time to time, and it's that you don't feel anything. You don't feel there's a medicine, working in your body. You just feel more calmer and more relaxed. And there are other things, obviously, you can do. I mean, it's common sense, but some people don't think about it. You don't drink too much coffee, especially, I would say, after 2 or 3, I would stop drinking coffee if you're sensitive.
Right.
Try to have it's hard during the holiday because we all eat too much and not necessarily the food that you should, but all those stimulants, stay away from them or be reasonable. We were with Dr. Wynn-Jones, we were talking about breathing. Again, this is something very easy to do. Every time you feel like you're overwhelmed or you're kind of anxious or panicking a little bit, you just take deep breath. And we discussed that before, but it has also a biological effect. It really, when you do that deep breathing, which is, what we call also the abdominal breathing, you're going to counterbalance, you're going to stimulate one part of your nervous system that is involved in relaxation. So it's not just something spiritual, or it's really it's working, and when you're stressed, very often you breathe very shallowly.
Yes,
the upper part of your thorax, and that's not the proper way to breathe, but we all do it because we don't think about it. But deep breathing, that's why yoga focuses so much, and it's an old practice, and it does. So when you feel that that stress coming, just take, I would say, even 5 deep breaths, and you have to see your belly expanding. That's when you really deep breathe. So there are many things you can do. You just have to find. Some people need to exercise. It doesn't do it for me. I don't feel better. But some people really need that, and they have too much energy and they need to work out. So just find what's best for you. And I would carry Sedalia, or there's another one that I really like. This is more Gelsemium. This is the yellow jasmine. And this is a single medicine as opposed to Sedalia, which combines several medicines. You always have the option. But this one I really like, especially for stage fright, or again, if you're going to take a test. And this is very typical of people who have studied. For example, they're good student, but when they come to the test room, they get so stressed that they're drawing a blank and they don't remember anything, which is very frustrating.
I've actually experienced that for sure.
Yeah, and actually this weekend I was at a course, and the room next to us, the physicians were taking a test about homeopathy, and there was one doctor. Sure enough, she came with her Gelsemium because she said, "I know that about myself. That's I study, but then I'm panicking and I cannot remember anything, and I might hand in a blank paper." So this is what Gelsemium does. It's really very powerful medicine. You take it the night before, 5 pellets under your tongue the night before the test. Take it again in the morning, 5 pellets. And you can even take it 5 minutes before, and you'll feel calmer. You'll see a difference. I've used it. I don't need it anymore, but I've used it for public speaking, because this is very often that you're like, it's difficult to manage. But or if it's a long, like I was saying, like you have 4 weeks of test, you can even take it every night. And that's a wonderful medicine for stage fright.
And that's Gelsemium.
Gelsemium, which is the yellow jasmine, so it comes from a plant.
Flower.
Yes, and it's a toxic plant, like a lot of medicine, a lot of plants we're using. But once it has been, treated and diluted and manufacturing into a homeopathic medicine, this is totally safe. Even children can take it. So that's another very good medicine for anxiety, stress. There's another one that I don't have here, and I don't want to give away too many names because it's confusing. But just know that, like we've been saying a lot, it's not one issue, one medicine. It's more one patient, and what medicine is suitable to that patient. So, like I was saying, Gelsemium is for people who have studied and who kind of panicking and don't remember anything. There's another one which is called Argentum nitricum. It's a silver.
What's it called again?
Argentum nitricum, which is a silver salt, and that's for people it's the opposite. They're they're going to go off topic and write 10-page, and they're still going to have a very bad grade, but they're in a haste. They want to get, done with, and very often those are people who are not going to sleep very well the night before the test. They might even have motor diarrhea. So this is how you distinguish, which medicine is better for who. And if it's a little bit of everything, because we're not, we're all different, you can have mixed symptoms, I would just alternate. And it's going to help a lot of people because,
And so this emotional aspect, you're worried about taking the test, even though you've studied. So it's emotional, but it's also physical. And a kind of interaction, emotional, physical. And I think a lot of people now realize, oh yeah, emotions affect the body. And most of us, as a mainstream idea, accept that. But maybe in 1950 or something, they might not have. But now people, oh yeah, we kind of get that now. Is it in your opinion a mainstream understanding?
I'm not sure it's much better in Europe. I'm not sure. The mind and body thing. Actually, I think it's here that I heard about it. Or maybe we know it in Europe, but we don't really say it this way. It's almost like it's an understanding, but there's no specialist of that. But yeah, I remember. I think the problem is that for years we thought that when it's psychological, it's not very serious.
Oh, really?
You see, yeah, like you're not really sick. You just make yourself sick. But it's the same thing. The mind and the body they work together, and one influences the other.
Sure.
And that's why when you study homeopathy, it has a lot of description about the physical symptoms, but also the mental symptoms and what the person type is. And that's when you combine all those things together, that's when you can really be effective and find the best treatment. This is specifically true for chronic disease. Of course, if you get stung by a bee or if you have a little sore throat, you don't need to go in, deep into the personality, unless it's a sore throat that comes back, every month or then. So there are a lot of ways, you can do it quickly, or you can, if you're really interested, it can be very fascinating, actually. Like everything that, is alternative.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways to address it.
And now, where can I buy the Boiron homeopathic medicines?
So it's really becoming available
everywhere.
Almost everywhere. Even some physicians carry what they like. But here in Los Angeles, all the Whole Foods, the Sprouts, the Mothers, all those big health food stores carry it. Smaller stores also, chain pharmacies. They don't carry necessarily everything, but they have the main ones like Oscillococcinum, Arnica. And also if you go on the website or if you call the Boiron Information Center, but on the website there's a store finder. So you just key in your zip code and it tells you. So it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
And again, they're very inexpensive, which is, they're effective and they're surprisingly inexpensive.
Well, there's a reason why they're inexpensive. It's because, we're using very minute doses. So it's, the rest inactive ingredients are very simple. We don't put any dye, any flavoring, and nothing. It's very, very plain. It's for the pellets. It's just, sucrose, lactose, and the active ingredients. So there's no reason for the medicines to be expensive. And, the company is nice enough to be open about that.
Sure.
So yes, they are pretty inexpensive, and again, most of the time you're not going to need to take them for a very long time because you're really trying to treat the root of the issue as opposed to a chronic treatment. So the idea is that you're going to need them less and less.
Right.
So which is nice too.
Well, Raphaele Cohen-Bacry, pharmacist, educated for Boiron homeopathic medicine. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Here.
It's fun. It's always fun. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. I'm with my co-host, Raphaele Cohen-Bacry. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Talk Live. We're more than just talk.